If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 61 Equipment Upgrade 2.0. After chatting idly for a while longer, Adam suddenly remembered something. Oh right, Wiz, give me some more monetites, high quality ones this time. Though Megaman's explosion magic hadn't damaged the Dullahan, that didn't mean it was useless. High quality monetites were essential, not just for the little explosive girl, but for him as well. Certainly, thank you for your patronage. Wiz took 5 monetites down from the shelf, her face brightening with an eager expression. Adam recognized it as her first sale of the month. Look, a rather pitiful sight, seeing her work so tirelessly without reward. He wanted to tell her that her lack of profit wasn't due to insufficient effort but rather her business methods, yet he kept quiet, not wanting to hurt her feelings. With his surplus of money, he had considered helping Wiz financially, especially given how she'd aided him in his time of need. However, knowing her poor business sense and tendency to burn through funds, he'd dismissed the idea. Any major investment would best wait for Vonier's arrival. Someone needed to supervise her spending. Besides, offering her bounty money from her colleague's subjugation might come across as boastful or intimidating. It was a classic case of good intentions with poor execution. Nevertheless, before departing, Adam left her Xi1000,000. Despite Wiz's refusal and Aqua's objections, he insisted. I have too much spare money sitting around. He explained, consider it an investment in your magic item shop. Wiz finally accepted, albeit reluctantly. Adam never specified what percentage of shares the Xi1000,000 would buy. But make no mistake, he had no intention of swindling Wiz or using this as leverage for anything unsavory. His help came with absolutely no ulterior motives. An upright young man must repay even the smallest kindness with overwhelming gratitude. Shortly after, Adam suggested they leave, and everyone exited Wiz's magic item shop. Let's go buy equipment. Yeah. X4. His companions cheered enthusiastically. They had been eager for new gear. Adam himself needed it too. His Nikaran sword had been notched during the clash with the Dullahan. The village blade hadn't even lasted a month. They strode quickly toward the weapons shop. Weapons shop. Welcome. The weapons shop owner, a tower-like man, quickly emerged from behind the counter when he saw Adam's group. Hahaha, if it isn't the heroes. Welcome to my shop. His enthusiasm was understandable. His business had been booming lately, all thanks to darkness. What? You ask why? Well, someone wearing his forged equipment had withstood a Dullahan's full power strike and survived. That's the kind of shield that saves your life against powerful enemies. What? You say it's because of darkness's high defense and not the shield? Other adventurers didn't know about her astronomical defense. They simply attributed it to that giant shield. Young lady, what equipment would you like? I'll forge it for free, using my finest craftsmanship. The weapon shop owner thumped his chest proudly. Don't worry, you'll only need to pay for materials. Though muscular, he was quite shrewd. He knew darkness had brought him countless customers. As a member of the hero party that defeated the Dullahan and a high-ranking crusader, she had become a role model for other knights. She was like a walking advertisement. There was no reason not to invest in her goodwill. His calculations were working perfectly. What do you think, Adam? Instead of agreeing immediately, Darkness deferred to her party leader. Sounds good, doesn't it? After brief consideration, Adam agreed. The owner's craftsmanship is excellent, and with no labor costs, just materials, it's definitely a good deal for us. The weapon shop owner's face lit up with joy, not just for the business prospects, but for the fame he was about to gain. His name was Bill. As a former adventurer, he had once dreamed of heroic feats like defeating the Demon King, deeds that would make him world famous. But as he grew older, he realized he lacked that talent and understood how naive those early fantasies were. Still, Bill hadn't given up, he'd simply chosen another path to greatness. That's right, becoming a blacksmith. When powerful adventurers defeated strong enemies using his forged weapons, didn't that indirectly prove he could defeat those enemies too? And if adventurers were to defeat the Demon King using his weapons? By that logic, it would be like he defeated the Demon King himself. What brilliant arithmetic! Adam had his own considerations. It wasn't just about saving money, he genuinely admired Bill's craftsmanship. After all, when he had brought those complex design sketches that even he couldn't fully understand, Bill had recreated them perfectly. Such exceptional construction ability and forging skill made him truly rare. Plus, Adam had secretly confirmed with Aqua that he had no ill intentions. She was a goddess, and mortals couldn't lie in her presence. That was certain. In that case, his mind began working. How about this, owner, let's make a contract. Contract. Bill scratched his broad forehead. What kind of contract? All equipment needed by our party members will be forged by you. How about it? You mean your party wants to employ me? That's right. Our hero party should have an exclusive blacksmith. Adam smiled. Of course, there will be compensation. What do you say? All right, I accept. Bill was a straightforward man and immediately agreed. However, we have 2 strict requirements that we hope you'll understand. What requirements? Just tell me. First, we value your craftsmanship. If the equipment quality drops significantly, we'll terminate the contract. Is that acceptable? Of course. As a blacksmith, I would never allow myself to produce inferior goods. Bill thumped his chest in guarantee. Second, our party will face increasingly powerful enemies. If the equipment's strength can't keep up with our needs, we'll also terminate the contract. Is that acceptable? No problem. As long as I have the materials, I'm confident my skills won't lose to anyone. So, do we have a deal? Deal. Their hands clasped, and Bill's long-dormant passion ignited once again. Then without delay, let's discuss the equipment specifications. Adam took out several sketches he had prepared beforehand. The shield in the sketch was none other than Mash Kyrielite's noble phantasm, Lord Camelot version, from Fate/Grand Order. We won't need the previous cross shield anymore, as it wasn't agile enough, so I designed a new one. Oh! This shield, I can tell it's going to be amazing. Right, right. Then everyone put forward their equipment requirements, which Bill carefully recorded. By the way, for the weapons and darkness's shield, use adamantite ore. Are you sure? Adamantite is very expensive. At your current levels, I wouldn't recommend such extravagance. Bill's pen paused as he advised the group. Its fine weapons and armor are an adventurer's final lifeline, so we should use the best. Well, if you insist. Also, please add these ore pieces when forging. This is. Bill quickly examined the ore repeatedly, then confirmed, this is ore I've never seen before. Of course it's my exclusive material. One and only, no duplicates. These pieces of ore were what Adam had brought back from Demon Slayer, the main materials for Nicaran swords, Scarlet Crimson Iron Sand and Scarlet Crimson Ore. What kind of transformation would occur when ores from different worlds fused together? Now that was something to look forward to. Chapter 62 Megaman wants to become mature. Crimson Black Blaze, King of Myriad Worlds, though I promulgate the laws of nature, I am the alias of destruction incarnate in accordance with the principles of creation. Let the hammer of eternity descend unto me. Burn to ashes within the crimson. Explosion. A massive detonation rang out, making the entire space shake violently. The power of this explosion magic was beyond imagination. In the distance, the abandoned castle once occupied by the Dullahan finally crumbled into ruins under Megaman's daily explosion ritual. The ancient castle that stood on the cliff lasted only 3 days without undead servants to repair and maintain it. Satisfied? Adam swiftly caught her wobbling form before she could fall. With a flushed face and a satisfied smile, Megaman said to him, "That was amazing. Adam, want to try it out?" Wait, hold on. That phrase sounds rather inappropriate given the situation. Any Lilicon old man hearing that would definitely get indecent ideas. At least take her to see some goldfish first. Watch your words, little girl. No, I'll pass. If I collapsed too, there'd be no one to take us back. Adam declined, free from the daily explosion affliction. Shall we head back then? Yes, please. No problem. He carried her on his back and turned around. It was early summer, and the weather was perfect, neither hot nor cold. An ideal day for an outing. Darkness normally accompanied Megaman for her daily explosion, but she was at the weapons shop adjusting her armor parameters. Aqua and Kazuma were still hungover from drinking too much the previous night. With no other options, he had to take her out instead. Hey, Megaman. I thought your explosion magic didn't need incantations anymore, so why do you still chant them every time? Because it's cool. Because it's cool. Megaman repeated, her face flushed. Don't say it twice. Adam had gone through his own Chayunabita phase. He knew that when young people were in their delusional phase, no amount of persuasion would work, especially with a crimson demon who had it ingrained in their very being. Understanding that correction was futile, he could only offer advice instead. The chanting is fine, but when you're in danger, don't just focus on looking cool, strike when you need to, okay? Of course. The first rule of defeating strong enemies is to go all out. As the highest-ranking archwizard of the Crimson Demon clan, how could I not know such basic principles? Megumin thumped her flat chest proudly. That's good. Adam felt relieved at her assurance. Other times didn't matter, but during crucial battles, she couldn't afford to mess up, she'd be the only one getting hurt. After that, Megumin quietly lay on his back, focusing on recovering her strength. Due to malnutrition, she was very light and didn't burden him at all. Though this feeling, when she pressed against his back, well, let's just say there wasn't much cushioning going on back there. Megumin seemed to sense something and asked with a slightly dangerous tone, "Hey, Adam, are you perhaps feeling something?" At the same time, she shifted her body backward, creating some distance. "How could that be? Is that the kind of person you think I am?" Adam maintained a calm expression. Composure. The main skill was activated. This small situation was nothing compared to that embarrassing predicament with darkness. He remained perfectly still. "Don't overthink it, I'm not into lolas. Are you saying I'm flat-chested?" "No, just modest. Even if it's you, Adam, I won't back down from a fight." Perhaps words like flat chest and lowly had struck a nerve, as she started choking his neck, demanding an apology. I'm sorry. Let go, please let go, I can't breathe." Adam quickly begged for mercy. "If you don't like me riding on your back, how about carrying me in your arms instead?" "In my arms? Like princess style?" "No way. That would be too embarrassing." Megumin immediately refused, her face flushing. "Is that so? Oh right. How about I use Drain Touch to help restore some of your energy? Then you could walk by yourself, how's that?" He suddenly remembered his convenient skill and hurriedly suggested. "No, I want you to carry me back on your back." She refused again. She settled back onto his back and said quietly, "This is punishment for saying such rude things earlier, don't think you can escape." Yes, I apologize for implying you're flat-chested in a roundabout way." "Ah, you actually said it again." The two started squabbling once more. After a while, when Megumin's anger subsided, she repositioned herself properly as he took large strides forward, not minding her earlier tantrum. She was still a young girl, so being a bit willful was normal, and Adam just went along with it. After walking some distance, Megumin suddenly poked her head out and asked, "Adam, what kind of girls do you like?" "What kind of girls do I like?" He pondered for a moment, more mature ones, I suppose. To be honest, discussing his preferences with a 13 to 14-year-old girl made him feel rather uncomfortable. But since Megumin wouldn't stop asking until she got an answer, he had no choice but to give this vague response and hope she wouldn't press further. "Mature, you mean like Darkness and Aqua?" she muttered softly. Evening. After Darkness returned from the weapon shop and Aqua recovered from her hangover, Megumin sought them out. "Please excuse my sudden request, but I have something important to ask both of you." The three sat together in a circle as she made her formal appeal. "What is it, Megumin? Why so formal all of a sudden?" "Yes, you can ask us anything without hesitation." Seeing Megumin's serious demeanor, Aqua and Darkness responded earnestly, "We'll help if we can." "Aqua, Darkness." Megumin's voice filled with gratitude, "Actually, I want to know how I can become more like you two." "Like us?" Aqua and Darkness exchanged puzzled glances. "You know, like you two." With a mix of embarrassment and excitement, Megumin traced curvy shapes in the air. "Oh. You mean this? You want to know how to get a good figure?" Aqua stated bluntly, oblivious to the young girl's sensitivity. "Could you be more subtle about it, but..." Megumin's face flushed crimson, "Yes. That's exactly what I want to know." "Well then, let me tell you exactly how to achieve a perfect figure." Aqua proudly patted her chest, then leaned in close to whisper. First. Chapter 63 Darkness and Tentacle Monster Pet. Adventurers Guild. While the squad members waited for their equipment to be customized, they had some free time. Aqua and Megaman had secretly slipped away, while Kazuma seized the opportunity to learn Lich-type skills from Wiz. He particularly wanted to learn Drain Touch again, since it had proven quite useful. Though Aqua had adamantly prevented him from learning it before, her absence meant no one could stop him now. After informing the others, he hurried to Wiz's magic item shop. He did wonder how Aqua would react when she discovered this. Only he and Darkness remained at the Adventurers Guild, sitting in awkward silence that begged to be broken. Darkness, has your armor customization been completed? Adam ventured. Yes, I settled everything with Bill yesterday, it's all arranged. Darkness replied, fidgeting with her casual attire. The intense stares from nearby adventurers left her feeling both bashful and thrilled. It was understandable. In her casual clothes, Darkness exuded elegance, fair skin, refined features, and an alluring figure. At first glance, she appeared to be a stunning ice beauty. Despite her questionable abilities, she remained undeniably gorgeous. Of course, that was merely judging by appearances. Some beautiful people would be better off silent, others would be better off less perverted. Hey, Adam. I can tell you're thinking something rude. With the uncanny accuracy of female intuition, Darkness immediately sensed his mental criticism. Adam simply sipped his juice in silence, neither confirming nor denying, while appreciating the beauty before him. Say something, she demanded, squirming, you're making me feel shy. Oh, Darkness is truly beautiful, and these clothes suit you perfectly. I'm moved. He deadpanned. His obvious insincerity only excited her more. Haha. This girl is hopeless. Who knows what will become of her? Just as he was thinking this, the Adventurers Guild door burst open with a bang, causing all the adventurers to turn toward a panicked man rushing in. Emergency quest! Emergency quest! The man stood at the door, panting heavily. A modified tentacle monster has escaped. I need all male adventurers to help. His voice echoed through the entire guild hall. Modified tentacle monster, what's that? Adam asked, puzzled. Those familiar with tentacle monsters would understand, but for the uninitiated no, better not explain further. But given what he knew of tentacle monsters from certain type of literature, plus that ominous modified prefix, he sensed something deeply concerning. A threat specifically targeting women. No wonder they were only calling for male adventurers. A modified tentacle monster only attacks women. Darkness explained eagerly, it uses its tentacles to do unspeakable things to them. They say some perverted magic user created it, it's the enemy of womankind. Wait. Unspeakable things, could it be what he was thinking? And that perverted magic user had to be one of those heroes Aqua sent over. Thanks for explaining, but Darkness, why do you look so excited? Because I want to join the hunt. Such brave words. Though admirable, still. Wait, Darkness. Adam grabbed her arm as she tried to leave, it specifically targets women, remember? And you don't even have your equipment. That makes it even better. Her face flushed red, without equipment, it'll be more convenient for the monster to violate me. I'll probably scream with delight. She drifted off into her fantasy of being attacked by the creature. First slime play, then getting eaten, and now tentacle bondage? Her year-round dedication to perversion was truly remarkable. She was really something else. Even so, I can't handle this alone. Please come with me, Adam. Darkness pleaded earnestly. Go with her? To what? Watch her get tormented by a tentacle monster. In the end, he agreed, worried she might sneak off alone to find it otherwise and get herself into real trouble. Though he went along, he had already decided, the moment they spotted the monster, he'd blast it away with explosion magic before Darkness could get anywhere near it. After leaving the Adventurers Guild. So, how do we find it? Adam asked Darkness, admitting his inexperience with monster tracking. Let me think about it. After a moment's consideration, she continued, the modified tentacle monster must be lurking in some dark corner where there aren't many people, waiting to grab a passing female adventurer and drag her away to do all sorts of indescribable things. As she spoke, Darkness grew visibly excited. Adam knew she was imagining herself as the unfortunate victim in this scenario. The quest giver's information hadn't mentioned any of what she described. The modified tentacle monster was actually quite weak, though it did have a peculiar effectiveness against women. Sorry to interrupt your fantasy, but I should ask, what do you plan to do after we find the modified tentacle monster? Adam asked, clinging to a sliver of hope. Darkness replied matter-of-factly, of course I'll take it home as a pet. Hope instantly shattered. Pet? You want to keep it as a pet? The kind you not only feed and bathe but also play with? He pinched his brow, feeling a headache coming on. It's a monster, a tentacle monster. Our squad has 3 female members out of 5. Don't worry, I won't let Jester harm anyone. Darkness thumped her chest confidently. You've even named it already. This only strengthened Adam's resolve to blast the modified tentacle monster into oblivion. Whether due to his iron determination, the monster's powerful survival instinct, or simply Darkness's bad luck, they circled the starter village 3 or 4 times without spotting even a single tentacle. Let's head back for today, Darkness. As evening fell, Adam figured Aqua and Megaman should have returned by now. I suppose. Darkness replied dejectedly, disappointed at not finding the monster. Just then, Aqua and Megaman appeared in the distance. That was a beautiful explosion magic, Megaman. Humph, that's my pride and joy explosion magic. From their conversation, it was clear they had completed their daily explosion task. Yes, that weird wriggling tentacle monster was blown to pieces in an instant. Humph, before my supreme explosion magic, even the Demon King. Just as Megaman was about to boast more, she spotted them. Hey! Adam, Darkness! Yo, Megaman and Aqua, you're back too. Perfect timing, let's head back together. He greeted them. About that weird wriggling tentacle monster you mentioned. Darkness asked anxiously, a sense of dread growing in her heart. Megaman flicked her magic cloak proudly and declared, there was a tentacle monster wandering nearby. I, the great archwizard, took it as the target for my daily explosion and eliminated it. Break. Upon hearing this news, Darkness collapsed to her knees in despair, muttering Jester, Jester, Jester. With a face full of anguish. Her deep attachment to this pet she'd never even met was painfully obvious. Did I do something wrong? Megaman asked hesitantly, a hint of guilt in her voice. Not at all, Megaman, you did perfectly. Adam assured her. Her confusion only grew at his response. Watching Darkness's devastation, Adam couldn't help but feel a twinge of sympathy. Don't be so down, Darkness. If you really want one, we could ask that magic user to create another. Before he could finish consoling her, he noticed her face had turned bright red, her body trembling with excitement. This feeling, this exquisite sense of loss, the agony of losing a beloved pet, so this is what being cuckolded feels like. It's incredible. This girl really is beyond help. Chapter 64. I've always believed in you. When it comes to being a pervert, fame is something invisible and intangible, yet undeniably real. You can call it reputation, or perhaps prestige. Like an invisible fence, it silently shapes how others perceive our outward image. Even the greediest vampire merchants will pose as generous philanthropists in public, even the most corrupt officials will act as upright, caring leaders to their people. The higher one's position and fame, the more they obsess over their public image, never daring to show their true nature in public. However, I was a hopeless idiot to think Aqua and the others would actually care about their image and stop acting foolish just because they'd gained fame. Outside the mansion in the suburbs where Adam and the others lived lay a large open space. What should have been an empty green field was now packed with people. Come out here at once. We demand an explanation. That's right. We want answers. A large crowd of villagers had gathered, demanding the hero party Adam and his companions come out to explain themselves. Seeing the situation escalating, the said hero quickly emerged to intervene, followed by Aqua, Megaman, Darkness, and Kazuma. Please, everyone, quiet down. Adam positioned himself atop a wooden box, surveying the villagers below. The chaos subsided as he used magic to amplify his voice. I am Adam Carter, leader of the hero party. Whatever concerns you have, I'm here to address them. But the villagers immediately erupted into a cacophony of voices, chaos returning in full force. One at a time. Take me, called out. He pointed to an elderly man in farmer's clothes. Elder, you first. Share your concerns freely. The crowd fell silent, all ears turned to hear the elder's grievances. Lord Adam. I wouldn't be here if I had a choice, but that mentally unstable Chnabi Crimson Demon girl from your party visits my farm daily to cast explosion magic. My cattle and sheep scatter in terror. How am I supposed to manage if this continues? The elder's expression was truly pitiful. Hey! Who are you calling a mentally unstable Chnabi Crimson Demon girl? Explain yourself. Megaman, be quiet. I deeply apologize, Elder. Please wait a moment while we calculate the damages. I will compensate you fully for your losses. Adam forced Megaman to bow alongside him, ignoring her protests as he offered compensation. Next. I own the tavern. Your party's archpriest bought premium bubble wine on credit, promising payment within a week. It's been over 2 weeks now. My sincerest apologies. I'll settle the debt now, with an additional 10% interest. After paying the owner, Adam turned to Aqua. As punishment, you'll receive no allowance for the next 3 months, understood? No. Aqua, silence. Ignoring her tearful pleas as she clung to him, he addressed the remaining crowd. Next. I'm the town's wizard. Your party's crusader keeps trying to steal my invention. And what might this invention be? Modified tentacle monsters. Good grief, I can't even. Wait a minute, isn't this the same wizard who was at the Adventurers Guild recently, announcing his escaped tentacle monster and posting a bounty? And Darkness, you're still fixated on that tentacle monster pet. Don't worry, I won't let Lesroth harm any party members. Darkness proudly thumped her chest. Great, pet number 2 already has a name. I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Wizard. Adam apologized with a deep bow. I assure you, I'll keep our crusader from disturbing you further. Come on, Adam, just buy one. Lesroth is waiting for me. Darkness, be quiet. Ignoring the eager pervert beside him, he turned to address the others. Next. 2 female thieves stepped forward, loudly accusing Kazuma. Your party's perverted thief sexually harassed us in the street. That's exactly right. These words caused an uproar. Sexually harassing female adventurers was a serious offense that carried mandatory jail time of at least half a month. Aqua's expression changed dramatically as she crossed her arms and stepped back, looking at Kazuma in disbelief. Finally, unable to contain his raging desires, scumbag Kazuma has made his move on other female adventurers. Megaman sneered. As expected of scumbag Kazuma, his perversion knows no bounds. Darkness's face flushed red as she lost herself in fantasy, as if she were the one being harassed. Wait, hold on. There's an explanation for this. Kazuma protested in shock. Carter-senpai, you have to believe me. Adam patted his shoulder. I've always believed in you, Kazuma-kun. Carter-senpai. I've always believed in you, when it comes to being a pervert. Before Kazuma could explain further, Adam called out, security. Where's security? In the end, though, Kazuma wasn't arrested. The truth was that these female thieves had publicly mocked him, claiming their party's defeat of the Duel was mere luck rather than skill. In his anger, he'd made some threatening gestures that scared them away. The thieves had then come to falsely accuse him, hoping to damage his reputation. Though the misunderstanding was cleared up, his reputation as a scumbag, degenerate, and pervert remained firmly entrenched in people's minds. I'm exhausted. I want to retire. Adam said, massaging his temples. The hero party's hard-earned reputation from defeating the Duel had been completely undermined by these troublemakers. We still have Xi 250000,000. Why don't we just retire to a peaceful life in the countryside? Wouldn't that be nice? The thought of giving up was becoming increasingly appealing. What are you saying, Adam? We still need to defeat the Demon King. That's right. I haven't even cast my ultimate explosion magic yet. How can we quit before we've begun? I'm looking forward to being captured and humiliated by the Demon King. How can adventurers not seek higher peaks? Defeating the Demon King is every adventurer's dream. After the villagers had dispersed, the party members continued their excited chatter. He. Watching their lively and unrepentant behavior, Adam's anger grew. You lot don't think this is over, do you? He shouted, everyone, sit down properly. Lecture time begins. Chapter 65 New Equipment. The Cage Cloak. After a few days, the Dullahan's influence on the beginner's village vanished completely. Since then, the party had grown lively and energetic, causing quite a stir in the village. Fortunately, with Adam keeping them in check, they remained relatively well behaved without any major incidents. Still, their lack of restraint meant they needed occasional disciplining. Though everyone was somewhat idle due to their lack of equipment, Adam found himself enjoying this leisurely pace of life. However, these peaceful days came to an end when a guest arrived at the mansion. Welcome, Bill, please come in. Adam led him to the reception room. What would you like to drink? Hot water? Tea? Or bubble wine? Bubble wine. Bill hesitated, though I'd love some, I have work later. I'll have hot tea instead. Very well, just a moment. Adam turned to prepare the tea. Thanks to the master-level tea brewing skills he had copied from Amano Yubayashiki, he prepared a cup of black tea that was both fragrant and smooth, a worthy use of such fine tea. This high-grade black tea, incidentally, had been bought on credit by Aqua at the tea house for over Xi30000. Bill's eyes lit up at his first sip. Delicious. Thank you for the compliment. Adam accepted graciously. Adam, I never expected you to be the one who bought this mansion. Most master blacksmiths were homebodies, focused solely on their forge and oblivious to the outside world. No wonder people didn't know he had purchased this haunted mansion. You've got yourself a wonderful house. Bill looked around enviously, spacious, well-lit, perfectly suitable, affordable, and in a great location. I'm truly jealous. It's nice, isn't it? Adam smiled, pleased with his home. Bill, you could move in too, since you're the party's exclusive blacksmith. No, I'll pass. Bill quickly declined. I prefer my shop. The furnace and charcoal fire are a blacksmith's true romance. Your idea of romance is rather peculiar. Adam quipped, then asked, but let's be honest, you're not here just for a visit, are you? His eyes fixed on the long, carefully wrapped object behind Bill, something he had been eagerly awaiting. Indeed. As requested, I completed your weapon first. I brought it for your inspection. Bill produced the object and began carefully unwrapping it. Inside lay a long sword with a black scabbard. The scabbard was unadorned, its handle unremarkable, so ordinary it could easily be overlooked. Upon drawing the blade, it revealed a silvery white surface that could mirror one's reflection. Under the breathing technique, it gradually darkened, as if painted with ink. This is truly amazing. Bill was shocked. Though Adam had told him about the extraordinary properties of the scarlet ore, he had remained skeptical until now. Seeing it with his own eyes finally convinced him. Drawing the blade and swinging it lightly, he immediately noticed something different about this new Nikaran sword. It's quite heavy. Listening carefully to the swoosh as it cut through the air, he could tell the weapon was sharper than before, though considerably heavier. That's because of the adamantite ore. Bill quickly explained, worried he might think it was poor craftsmanship. Although adamantite ore is incredibly hard, it's also much heavier than ordinary ores. So higher density means increased mass. Adam smiled reassuringly at his anxious expression. Don't worry, this isn't a bad thing. The increased blade weight actually allows me to deliver more powerful strikes. Thanks to the body enhancement skill, his physical abilities far surpassed normal humans. The previous Nikaran sword had felt too light and insubstantial, but this adamantite-enhanced version had just the right weight. Phew, I'm glad you're satisfied. Bill finally relaxed with a long sigh. This wasn't just another commission, it was a test of his craftsmanship to prove he deserved to be the party's exclusive blacksmith. Adam's nod of approval sealed his contract with the hero party. Oh right, I brought that other thing we discussed. Bill turned and produced a small package. Here you go. Oh. It's finished already? So fast. Of course. My old friend is quite skilled in this area. That Mohawk guy who goes around bare-chested wearing overalls? Adam asked skeptically. That's right, the muscular artisan weaver who visited the Succubus Cafe with Kazuma. Don't underestimate him, he used to be my teammate. Well, never mind. Bill wanted to share stories from his adventuring days, but seeing his attention drift, he let it go. Adam eagerly opened the package to reveal a white cloak inside. It resembled the fourth Hokage's cloak from Naruto, but with light blue bottom patterns and the characters, meaning Adam, replacing the original design. Everything else remained nearly identical. The fabric was soft and elastic, both comfortable and stylish. The large kanji characters on the back perfectly matched his aesthetic. Oh! This looks really good. Adam tried it on, gaining new respect for the Mohawk guy. I'm glad you like it. Bill grinned broadly, being someone who took more joy in his friends receiving praise than himself. Adam had longed for this cloak ever since crossing over to Demon Slayer and seeing the Demon Slayer core pillars in their striking cloaks and Heiori. Now, at last, he had one of his own. The Earth Spirit Silkworm silk is remarkably durable and offers strong resistance to various status effects. Its only drawback is the high price. Bill explained. Indeed. Adam nodded in agreement. The old saying that quality comes at a price held true across all worlds. Bill drained his teacup and rose to leave. I should get going, there's work waiting for me. Adam walked him to the door. Take care. I'm counting on you for our future weapons and armor. Bill gave a casual wave, signaling his commitment. That evening, Adam's appearance in the cloak drew admiration from everyone, especially after he announced they could all have equipment made from the same silk. The news was met with jubilation. 66 Hey young man, want an apple? Weapons okay. Equipment okay. Holy water okay. Alright, preparations complete. Adam nodded with satisfaction. Aqua, please cast your blessing magic on me. Hehehe, leave it to me. Aqua proudly patted her chest as she cast her blessing enhancement magic on him. Blessing attribute boost. Blessing luck boost. Blessing art boost. Several flashes of light appeared as the blessing magic took effect. Seriously, what's the point of art boost anyway? Kazuma criticized from the side. Humph. Aqua snorted, stupid Kazuma, casting all my available blessings is common sense. Since when is that common sense? Feeling mocked, Kazuma was about to start an argument. Wait. Adam stepped between the quarreling pair with a sigh. How can I leave for the new world with peace of mind when you're like this? That's right, he was going to a new world. He had asked Bill to forge his equipment first so he could stagger his departure from the party members and explore a new world. 3 days after defeating the Duel, he had gained an anchor point to cross over. However, the party was building popularity then, and his gear was worn out, so he had postponed the journey until now. With his new equipment ready, Adam wasted no time. That night, he explained everything to his party members. His reason was simple. He wanted to train, challenge strong enemies, and learn new skills. When Darkness and Megaman insisted the whole party should go together, he declined, explaining that their armor and staff weren't finished yet. Having discussed this privately with Kazuma and Aqua beforehand, they helped him convince the two women to wait. Seeing the majority against them, Darkness and Megaman relented. Sato-kun, here are the checks, take them. Adam handed 3 checks to him for safekeeping. This is... Kazuma's eyes widened as he added up the values, Xi 250000,000. Isn't this the bounty for defeating the Dullahan? What? Aqua crowded over. The Dullahan's bounty was team property, with all expenses transparent. Even Darkness, who rarely concerned herself with finances, knew the approximate amount. Now all of the party's assets were in Kazuma's hands. That's right. Adam confirmed with a nod. Why would Adam entrust all the party's assets to that stupid Kazuma? Aqua protested loudly. It's because you problem children are all unreliable, you stupid Aqua. Kazuma felt insulted and turned to yell at her. Still fuming, he continued, you. Remember when Carter-senpai left Xi 100000? You blew it all on fancy sparkling wine. We had no savings left and could barely afford to eat. How could we ever trust you with money again? After being scolded so harshly, Aqua didn't argue back. Instead, she looked at Adam with puffed cheeks and pitiful eyes, seeking comfort. There, be good Aqua. Sato-kun is quite reliable when it comes to the big picture. To be honest, he didn't trust her either. Knowing she would spend it recklessly if given the chance, letting Kazuma manage the money was the best solution. Aqua wiped away her tears and said glumly, if you say so. Sato-kun, I'm entrusting the team to you while I'm gone. With that final instruction, he said goodbye, I'm heading out. Have a safe trip. They called out in unison. Adam closed his eyes and connected with the new anchor point that had appeared in his mind. Instantly, a familiar pulling and tugging sensation enveloped his body. The next moment, just like before, he suddenly disappeared from in front of Aqua and Kazuma. Opening his eyes, Adam found himself in the middle of a wide street, surrounded by noisy, chaotic sounds that made him frown. He wasn't used to such commotion yet. The next second, someone roughly pushed him aside. Hey! Where did you pop out from? Get out of the way! An irritated voice shouted, watch where you're going, you fool! Still disoriented from crossing over, Adam looked back at who had shoved him, a lizardman. Looking around further, he saw the main street was filled with various races, demi-humans, subhumans, and humans alike. They mingled throughout the street in surprising harmony. The air was filled with endless vendor calls and the bustle of crowds moving to and fro. This is... Adam stood stunned. The buildings had such a distinct otherworldly style that he wondered if this wasn't just teleportation. He'd gone from a remote starter village straight to a bustling capital city. But that didn't matter when arriving in an unknown place, gathering information was paramount. This was the wisdom passed down by countless world travelers. Walking along the busy street, Adam took in all the novel sights with curiosity. "Hey young man, want some apples?" called a green-haired middle-aged man from his fruit stand. Noticing Adam's elegant and expensive clothes, the vendor had likely pegged him as a wealthy customer. Apples. Adam had been hoping to gather information anyway, so he turned toward the voice. "Would you like some, young man?" The vendor eagerly held up an apple. "Look how fresh they are, sweet and delicious." But when Adam got a clear look at the man's appearance, his expression turned strange. That green hair and those two scars at the corners of his eyes were unmistakable. No way. A save point? Adam had a hunch, but still wanting to confirm it, he decided to test the vendor. Pointing at his clothes, he said, "Shopkeeper, although I'm wearing fancy clothes, I don't have a single coin on me." "What, so you're just a poor guy?" Upon hearing this, the shopkeeper's warm expression instantly turned cold. "Another poor person. If you have no money, then hurry up and leave." Before he could finish, he spotted the fingernail-sized piece of gold in Adam's hand. "I have no money, but I wonder if this could be used as payment." Of course it can." The shopkeeper's cold, impatient face transformed back to warm and friendly. The dramatic reversal was a perfect demonstration of face changing. "Shopkeeper, you really don't try to hide your mercenary nature at all." Adam criticized, then added to the slightly embarrassed vendor, "Never mind, please pick out some apples for me." Right away, right away." The shopkeeper began selecting efficiently. Adam casually started a conversation, "Shopkeeper, do you have children?" The shopkeeper replied while busy, "Yes, I have a lovely daughter." "If I may ask, does your daughter have the same green hair color as you?" Though the shopkeeper didn't understand why he asked this, he answered honestly, "Yes, just like mine." "Is that so? That's wonderful. No need to wear that green hat, that's really great." "Hey? Green hat?" The shopkeeper looked at him in confusion while holding a bag of apples. "It's nothing, just talking to myself." After getting this small revenge on the mercenary shopkeeper, Adam took his change and turned to leave. To be safe, he visited several other shops to gather information. Confirmed. This was the capital of the kingdom of Lugunica, which meant this world was ReZero, starting life in another world. Interesting. He wondered if Natsuki Subaru's return by death ability could erase his memories, and if analyze and copy could copy his ability. To determine whether it's possible, I should set up a code phrase with him. Adam recalled the tableware code from Stein's Gate and thought he should do something similar. While biting into the sweet apple, his mind began to work. "What should I use? Got it." After a moment's thought, he came up with a phrase that perfectly suited Natsuki: "Good advice is wasted on those destined to die. Good advice is wasted on those destined to die. Great mercy cannot save those who think themselves righteous." Before he could finish, someone behind him completed the phrase. Yes, that's the phrase." Adam spun around. The face he saw was distorted with fear, anger, humiliation, timidity, and pain, a grotesque mixture of negative emotions. "Please, Carter. Help me!" the figure cried. A chill ran down his spine. Chapter 67: A true warrior dares to face life's bleakness and look upon flowing blood. Good advice is wasted on those destined to die. Great mercy cannot save those who think themselves righteous. This saying stems from his understanding of Seneca's philosophy and some Chinese wisdom he picked up while trying to impress a girl online. It means, no matter how persuasive the words, they cannot convince someone bent on their own destruction, and even Buddha's great compassion cannot save those who reject salvation. This saying fits perfectly with Natsuki's type: stubborn, obstinate, refusing advice, and arrogantly headstrong. But this ancient saying is something I've studied my whole life. How can you, a Japanese person, use it so naturally? And what's more, you spoke it in perfect English, with barely a trace of accent. How long did you practice this, you bastard? This is bad, truly bad. I've completely underestimated this world. This is hell-level difficulty. At this moment, Adam realized his greatest crisis in this world: he cannot avoid death by return. The cheat doesn't work anymore. If he accidentally dies, death by return will overwrite reality as established fact. What should he do? For the first time, even he felt afraid. Young man, what you're saying is quite interesting. Adam's expression was serious. Hahaha, is that so? Natsuki said with a bitter, half-crying face, if possible, I really never want to say these words again. Then, who are you? Adam was certain that even his previous self who had looped would never reveal that he knew him from the beginning. Nice to meet you, let me introduce myself again. My name is Natsuki Subaru, the world's most useless good-for-nothing high school student. Like you, I'm from another world, please take care of me. As he shouted this, his right index finger pointed to the sky, left hand made a fist at his side, right leg stepped forward, and his hips slightly raised. This was his signature pose. Although he appeared energetic and positive, his eyes still held confusion and despair. However, this made Adam understand one thing, his previous self must have told Natsuki about being from another world. But that makes sense. The saying good words can't persuade those destined to die is clearly something he pieced together, and because it was in English, he must have known about Adam's otherworldly origin. That makes the conversation much simpler. After a brief pause, Adam nodded and said, I see, nice to meet you, my name is Adam Carter, please take care of me. Adam, although you might think this is absurd, please listen carefully. I've actually redone this many times, and I've met you many times already. Natsuki explained with careful precision, as a modern person, you should understand. In games, when the protagonist hits a bad end from wrong choices, we reload the save and try again for a happy end. My ability works exactly like that. I see, I understand. Adam realized his previous self must have taught Natsuki this clear way of explaining things while bypassing the death reset limitation. I've never hated living in modern society so much, being able to understand myself this quickly. No, it's hatred for that previous version of me who calculated everything so precisely. So, Natsuki-kun, how many times have you returned, and how many times have you met me? 10th return, 5th time meeting you. Is that so? 5 whole days to learn one English phrase, no wonder the pronunciation is so clear. Then why not leave? Even after returning, why didn't I choose to escape? You can leave this world anytime, right? What are you thinking, me? Adam wanted to say more, but they were standing in the middle of the road, conspicuous among the passing pedestrians. Natsuki-kun, come with me. He led him to a nearby secluded alley. There's something I'm curious about. He adjusted the Nichiren sword at his waist and asked. Not to brag, but I have some confidence in my abilities. However, even so, I also... No, it's not like that. Your strength is incredible, you can fight equally with that horrible garbage woman. Natsuki explained in a low voice, it's me, it's all because I was too rash and reckless. Hearing this, Adam understood. He must have been so desperate to save Amelia that he got ambushed by Elsa Granhired, the bowel hunter, had his guts ripped out, and entered another loop. But to endure this 5 times. No, to persist even after 10 loops, truly worthy of being called stubborn. The methods might differ, but the results are all the same. Adam, please. I can only rely on you now, please help me. His words carried helplessness and urgency, like grasping at the last lifeline. Adam fell silent. What should I do, what should I do? This is so frustrating. I might as well just leave. After all, this isn't my world, it doesn't matter if I can't learn skills, staying alive is what's important. Give up, just giving up would be fine. What's the point in helping others? Wouldn't it be better to just leave? Damn it. I hate being forced to take on this responsibility. Just as he was thinking this, he saw Natsuki's expression. Fear, pain, timidity, sorrow, regret, these emotions once again appeared on his young, immature face. At this moment, he finally understood why his previous self hadn't left. Natsuki was teetering on the edge of breakdown. If this continued, he would fall into darkness and become pride, plunging the world into war and strife. Countless innocent people would be sacrificed. And all because his current self refused to help this stubborn young man. Natsuki-kun, you're in pain, aren't you? I can see it in your expression. Adam gently patted the shoulder of the 17-year-old. Natsuki remained silent, head bowed as he wept quietly. It was clear he had developed psychological trauma from that gut-ripping maniac Elsa. Better to let him cry it out now. Sigh. Adam never imagined he'd end up looking after kids not only in KonoSuba, but in ReZero as well. To prevent the world's destruction, he had to forcibly correct the storyline. It couldn't go down the pride-if route. So this was all the world's fault. Natsuki-kun, a true warrior, dares to face life's bleakness and look upon flowing blood. Gently patting his shoulder, he comforted and guided him, "Don't be afraid. I'll help you. I will definitely correct the world line." Chapter 68. The person who should have appeared didn't. Natsuki, there's something crucial I need to tell you. When you're uncertain if this is the future you want, never settle for the status quo. You absolutely must respect death. Remember this. For his safety, Adam felt compelled to warn him. He was genuinely afraid. If Natsuki became content with merely saving Emilia, and his death became fixed reality, everything would be lost. Unfortunately, Natsuki seemed to grasp only the latter part of the warning. Of course I know that. I deeply respect Lady Death. After all, I'm a man who's died 10 times. In terms of experience, I've surpassed all other men. He shouted with exaggerated facial expressions, attempting to lighten the mood. Ah! Every death is super painful, super hot, and super terrifying. Every single time, my guts are torn out and I watch myself split in half. Hot blood flowing beneath me, breathing getting weaker, mind going blank. Anyone would tremble in fear. His hands flailed wildly in the air, his shoulders shaking dramatically, his expressions extremely exaggerated and silly. This intense reaction served less as reassurance and more as a confession to Adam. The helpless feeling of death by return, the fear and pain, had nearly driven him mad. Adam simply patted his shoulder, offering no words of comfort. Sometimes, silent gestures speak louder than words. Natsuki averted his gaze, his exaggerated expression freezing before gradually returning to calm. When their eyes met again, Adam saw determination in them. Natsuki had moved past the past. "Well then, let's go." He signaled to leave, but before he could finish, 3 thugs emerged from the alley. "Hey, what are you 2 guys doing sneaking around here? It's disgusting, you know." The thug boss, who looked remarkably like Accelerator, stumbled out from the shadows, followed by 2 thugs, one burly, one short. T/N, Accelerator from a certain everyday index san anime. TCH, give me a break. Why do I have to run into you guys every single time? Natsuki said irritably, though I know I'm irresistibly charming, I hate being followed around. And by men, no less. I'm developing serious trauma. Have some self-awareness, you pieces of trash. Adam didn't even know how to respond to that. If Natsuki could still talk trash in this situation, maybe he hadn't been beaten up enough. "Hey! What nonsense are you spouting? We just happened to run into you." The thug boss, provoked by the trash talk, snarled, "Hand over anything valuable if you don't want to get hurt." His knife danced up and down, glinting coldly in the sunlight. Seeing it, Natsuki stepped back in fear. That knife had taken his life before. Really now, don't they know about weapon control? This is why I say the other world isn't good in this aspect. His tough attitude immediately softened as he turned to his friend next to him. "Go for it, Adam." What's with this go, Pikachu, déjà vu? Well, considering your current unstable emotional state, I'll let it slide. Adam stepped forward, gripping his sun-breathing blade, ready to teach the 3 thugs a lesson. "Hahaha, are you 2 idiots? We've got 3 people here." The thugs laughed arrogantly as they watched the big guy approach alone. "It's 3 against 2, we clearly have the advantage." "Oh? That's right, you're absolutely right." Adam smiled secretly, then turned to Natsuki with exaggerated concern. "Natsuki, what should we do? There are 3 of them and only 2 of us. We couldn't possibly win." "Hey! What are you talking about, Adam?" Natsuki glanced anxiously at the sun. "Just deal with them quickly. Don't start exploring other options or branching paths, we're running out of time." "You're being silly, Natsuki." Adam guided him deliberately, making his point clear. Even ordinary citizens in modern society know to call for help when they're in danger. "Why aren't you doing that?" "That's because you can handle this easily." "Oh." He trailed off, deep in thought. Looks like he understood. When facing danger you can't handle alone, you should seek help. And if your help isn't enough, you find more help. Adam grinned. "Natsuki, what should we do in this situation?" "Of course we should call for help. His face lit up with a smile. A new choice branch call for help. Actually, Adam wasn't sure what his previous selves were thinking, but this time he would make thorough preparations. Help! Someone help me! Is anyone there? Guards, guards! There are perverts here. Someone, please help! Natsuki's piercing voice carried far through the air. The three thugs' expressions changed as they stepped back, ready to flee. Someone help! Someone please help! But unfortunately, despite his shouting, no guards came, and the person who should have appeared didn't show up. The Sword Saint Reinhardt van Istria did not appear before them. Hahaha, looks like no one's coming to save you. The thugs' evil intentions resurfaced when they saw that no help was arriving. We're going to teach you two a lesson you won't forget. They talked tough while flourishing their knives, slowly approaching Natsuki and Adam. It failed, Adam. Natsuki sighed in disappointment, looks like we'll have to rely on you after all. It's fine, it's fine. Adam waved dismissively. He had already conveyed his message. Even if Reinhardt didn't show up, they could always find him later. Well then, here I go. He gripped his sun-breathing blade without drawing it. Without even using breathing techniques, he would overwhelm them with pure physical ability. Bang! 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 In less than 10 seconds, he had knocked all three unconscious. This was the capital, better not cause any deaths. That Reinhardt fellow's sense of justice ran too deep, and it wouldn't be wise to antagonize such a terrifyingly powerful character. Job done. Adam clapped his hands and called to Natsuki, let's go, weren't you in a hurry? Yeah, let's hurry. The young man rushed out in a panic. Chapter 69: A full-on collision. After leaving the alley, the two made a detour to the capital's guard station before heading to the slums. At Adam's suggestion, Natsuki realized they needed to find another helper. Capital Guard Station. Is this enough? Natsuki handed a letter to the guard station. Will this really work? You're not lying to me, right? This is a matter of life and death. I'm counting on you. Rest assured, young man. If Lord Reinhardt comes today, I will definitely deliver this letter to him. The unnamed guard carefully tucked the letter into his breast pocket. Natsuki, still worried, pleaded, you have to give it to him. You absolutely must give it to him. Don't forget. Don't worry. I'll keep it safe and deliver it to him personally. Though he's off duty today, so I'm not sure if he'll come in. The guard reassured him while patting his chest. What did you say? Before the stressed high school boy could say anything more, Adam forcefully pulled him out of the guard station. Ow ow ow, what's the big idea, Carter? Natsuki rubbed his reddened shoulder. Finding help was your idea, so why are you stopping me? You idiot, you've said it too many times. Adam angrily knocked him on the head. Besides, look at the time, it's almost time for the trade you mentioned. Natsuki was startled upon hearing this, hurriedly looking up at the sky and checking his flip phone for the time. Not good. We're running out of time, let's hurry. His expression changed as he turned to run toward the slums, completely forgetting that he was the one who had been wasting time. Finding help had been Adam's secret reminder to Natsuki. Since he couldn't protect him from Elsa's sneak attacks, they needed another helper, someone strong. After all, ordinary guards couldn't stop that woman. They'd probably all be taken down in an instant. And Reinhardt was the perfect choice. Strong and righteous, while also kind-hearted, he wouldn't dismiss an anonymous letter as false information but would rather investigate personally. The content of the letter they asked the guard to give to Reinhardt was very concise. A woman suspected to be the Elsa Granhirt, the bowel hunter, will conduct an underground trade with someone this evening. Location: the waste storehouse in the slums. Trading goods unknown. The information about Elsa being the bowel hunter had been confirmed during Natsuki's 10 loops. Thanks to those loops, he had gathered most of the information about her. So you're saying that even if I activate my Slayer mark, I'd only be evenly matched with her? Adam's expression grew slightly grave after hearing his description. Currently, his activation of the Demon Slayer mark was his trump card. But even with that, he'd only be on par with Elsa. No, he'd probably be the weaker one. The longer he maintained his marked state, the greater the toll on his body. He couldn't sustain it for very long. Meanwhile, Elsa, thanks to her cursed doll curse, excelled in endurance and quick recovery, making her unafraid of drawn-out battles. As time went on, she would definitely find an opening to counterattack. I think I understand now why I couldn't protect Natsuki. In the end, he had overestimated his abilities, thinking he could hold off the vampire Elsa, but in reality, he couldn't stop this battle-hardened bowel hunter. T/N, vampire is a way people call the ones afflicted with this curse. If that's the case, then maybe he should use explosion magic to end it in one shot. No, Elsa was too agile, she'd easily dodge before he could target her. Besides, unleashing such powerful explosion magic in a confined space would be suicide. In an instant, everyone, including himself, would perish. Adam muttered under his breath, "Tch, having to rely on someone uncertain is infuriating." Whether Reinhardt would arrive by evening remained unknown. For now, they could only proceed step by step. In that moment, he understood the young boy's helplessness. After their brief exchange, Natsuki sprinted ahead with Adam close behind. Weaving through several dark alleys, they emerged into the slums, where the scenery changed dramatically. The area was devastatingly desolate, without a single building fully intact. It seemed impossible that such decay existed mere alleys away from the capital's prosperity. The wealth gap was staggering. Around the crumbling houses, malnourished people in tattered clothes lay motionless. If not for their shallow breathing, Adam might have mistaken them for corpses. The elegantly dressed man and boy stood out starkly, yet their presence drew no reaction from the residents. The locals stared with vacant eyes, showing not even a flicker of interest. They had long since lost their will, existing as mere shells of humanity. Adam's steps faltered, lagging behind Natsuki. He cursed under his breath, "Tch, every world has its wealth gap, stop being so damn sympathetic, idiot." "Hey! What are you doing, Carter? We're running out of time." Natsuki called out to the halted man, urgently waving him forward. "Just a moment." Adam shouted back, then lurched forward into a run. As he dashed ahead, someone stepped out from the side, and they collided. His vision darkened. Sweet, soft, smooth, these unexpected sensations clouded his mind. MMMPH. Adam struggled for breath, thrashing as unseen hands held his head firmly in place. That tickles," purred a sultry voice near his ear. "Hey! What's going on?" Adam redoubled his efforts, breaking free from the embrace and stumbling back several steps, gasping. "Huff! Huff! Huff! I almost suffocated." He, a soft laugh drifted from before him. Looking up, he saw an alluring face before him, large, dark eyes, full red lips, a delicate nose, and skin as smooth as jade. She stood over 170 centimeters tall with an enchanting figure, long graceful legs, and a slender yet curved form, though her skin held a sickly pallor. Her figure was the epitome of feminine beauty. Her black cloak concealed most of her form, yet the occasional glimpse of white beneath only heightened her mysterious allure. She gazed at Adam with predatory interest, her red tongue sliding across her lips like a hunter savoring the sight of prey. It was the bowel hunter, Elsa Granhirt. Chapter 70. I think this guy is a little bit, you know. You. I'm so sorry, beautiful miss. Adam's expression flickered briefly before he recovered, scratching the back of his head and laughing sheepishly. I was in a hurry chasing my friend and didn't see you coming. I'm really sorry for bumping into you. That's all right. Elsa ran her finger across her snow-white skin, then touched her lips, lightly licking her fingertip as if savoring something. You're just my type, young man. I'm not angry at all. Rather, I'm quite pleased. Her every move exuded the allure of a mature woman. Hahaha, is that so? This is the first time someone has said that to me. Adam laughed warmly. Such a beautiful mature lady like yourself is exactly my type too. To be honest, since I'm surrounded by problem children, I prefer someone more mature. My, such sweet talk, young man, would you like to experience some adult pleasures with me? She drew closer, her sweet fragrance like poppies intoxicating his senses. I'd love to. Though I'd like to say that, my friend there is already angry. Adam took a step back, his face showing interest, but he pointed to Natsuki in front, regretfully declining the tempting offer. Oh my, what a shame. Elsa turned to look at Natsuki, noting his furrowed brows, trembling body, and unusually pale, sickly complexion. Drawing even closer, she breathed into Adam's ear, fear, terror, hatred. That young man seems to really despise me. I wonder why. The reason? As she pressed forward, he didn't retreat, instead pressing close against her shapely figure and feeling her softness as he quietly replied, he's probably angry, because I'm being so intimate with a wonderful woman. Ah! Elsa was shocked by this unexpected answer. You know, he's my childhood friend. But the thing is that he... While Adam spoke, he made some gestures with his wrist, suggesting that Natsuki preferred to play in the other side of the fence. My aunt asked me to take care of him, so I can't do anything about it. Every time a woman gets close to me, he gets like this. My, so he... She looked at their expressions as if discovering some rare treasure, saying coquettishly, could it be, he's that type of man? I've heard about them in high nobility circles. Quite interesting. Her face flushed slightly, her interest growing more intense as she became eager to investigate further. Yet, my life is quite difficult. Every time I try to date such a mature and wonderful woman like yourself, he gets in the middle. The first time I even hit him, but he seemed to like it, so I stopped to avoid making things worse. After saying this, Adam took a big step back. Then he called out to the still trembling Natsuki, Hey, Subaru-chan, hurry up and apologize to this beautiful lady. Chan. Unable to hear their hushed conversation clearly, Natsuki was bewildered by Adam's sudden demand for an apology. Nevertheless, he quickly composed himself, bowed deeply at a 90-degree angle, and exclaimed, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Though uncertain of his transgression, he trusted Adam's judgment completely, a faith built over their 5 days, loops, together. Adam would surely, in any case, never harm him. T/N, but the public image is something else. It's fine, it's fine. Though it's such a shame, you were just my type. Indeed, and you were just my type too. They exchanged light laughter. In a flash, Elsa pressed close again with lightning speed, too fast for Adam to react. Before he could respond, her delicate hand was already at his waist, caressing him like a lover would, leaving him paralyzed and afraid to move. Such incredible speed! Young man, you claim to like me, but your eyes betray no such emotion, and your scent remains unchanged. Even lies should have their limits. Her false charm vanished instantly, replaced by bone-chilling coldness, her voice sharp as ice. Killing intent. Adam finally understood she wasn't merely an assassin, but a bowel hunter capable of matching him in direct combat. Though tense, he maintained his composure and said quietly, I've been working hard to keep my eyes from showing lust and offending you. Haven't you heard the saying, desire is indulgence, but love is restraint? His gaze remained pure, free of any impure thoughts as he met her eyes. Ah, is that so? Elsa's demeanor shifted as she withdrew her hand from his waist, placing it on her snow-white chest to feel her heartbeat. Oh my, young man, you really know how to charm women, you must have many falling for you. Adam smiled playfully and asked, so, did you like what I said too? Yes, I liked it very much. She replied candidly, I really like you too, but unfortunately, I have urgent business to attend to. Otherwise, I would definitely take you away and savor you properly. That proper savoring leaves quite a bit to the imagination. He showed interest but added regretfully, too bad you have urgent matters, we'll have to wait until next time. Yes, next time it is. Elsa laughed softly, then passed by his side, whispering seductively in his ear, young man, you can look forward to our next meeting, hee. Oh. Until we meet again. Adam gave a thumbs up, expressing his eager anticipation. His face beamed with enthusiasm as he bid farewell, watching her swaying figure disappear from sight. Carter. Natsuki rushed over, startled by his enthusiasm. But when Adam turned around, his face had turned cold. Carter. At this moment, understanding dawned on him. Adam had been putting on an act with Elsa the whole time to avoid raising her suspicions. Carter, she is. She's Elsa Granhired, the bowel hunter, isn't she? Adam cut in, your terrified look told me everything I needed to know. This is bad. Really bad. Though he knew Elsa could match him even in his marked state, he hadn't anticipated such terrifying assassination skills. The hearing and smelling techniques he had copied from Zenitsuo and Tanjiro proved useless. He couldn't detect her footsteps or smell any blood on her. Of all the assassins I've encountered since crossing over, I, Adam, acknowledge you as the strongest. Carter. Natsuki looked worried, knowing this encounter had diverged from his previous experiences due to their stop at the Royal Guard station. It's all right. Adam shook his head reassuringly, then said, Subaru-kun, let's hurry. I have a bad feeling. Oh. Natsuki responded loudly. Then, the two continued to run. Chapter 71. Tell me, should we follow protocol or just knock them out and take them? After half an hour, the two arrived at the deepest part of the slums, stopping before one of the few intact houses in the district. Is this the place? Adam asked, should we go straight in? No, while we could barge in rudely, let's not do that. Natsuki said softly, shaking his head, there's a proper password to get in. Don't let my appearance fool you, I'm a man who's been through this 10 times already. I've got all the passwords memorized. He walked up and knocked on the door. The person inside didn't open it, instead calling out in a deep voice. Big rat. Poison. White whale. Hook. To our noble dragon lord. Drop dead. As the password exchange completed perfectly, the person inside opened the tightly sealed wooden door. Natsuki strode in without hesitation, looked around, and let out a breath. Whew, I'm in again, and nothing's changed at all. This was his 10th time here. The bottles and jars on the shelves, the miscellaneous items piled in corners, everything remained exactly as he remembered, giving him an almost homey feeling. What are you talking about, young man? I don't quite understand what you're saying. Valga Cromwell, known as Old Man Rom, a giant massive in both build and voice, led them to sit at the counter. Though I don't know how you two found out the password, never mind. This is an open business, and I believe in welcoming all customers, so I won't press the issue. He took out 2 cups from under the counter and poured some thin, cloudy white liquid for them. The liquid looked suspicious, but Natsuki didn't hesitate, picking up his cup and downing it in one go. Pa! Still tastes the same, just as awful as ever. He wiped his mouth. Hey, Old Man Rom, couldn't you add a bit more milk? Milk? This suspicious pale white liquid was milk? It must have been heavily watered down. Not wanting to seem rude, Adam politely took a small sip and it really was awful. Where did this disrespectful brat come from? Don't you know milk is precious in the slums? Regular folks can't even get any. Though Rom seemed somewhat displeased, he still poured Natsuki another cup. With his century of experience and judgment, he could tell these 2 young men in their unusual clothing must be extremely wealthy. In that case, what harm was there in staying on their good side? Unfortunately, he was both right and wrong. Natsuki had no money, but Adam had plenty. Here. Pa. Tastes awful. Taking the cup of watered-down milk, Natsuki boldly drank it in one gulp and complained again about its awful taste. Really now, you greedy kid? Perhaps charmed by the brat's straightforward personality, Rom not only poured another cup but his expression softened. Enough small talk, what are you two here for? Though he wasn't pressing about their sudden visit, he still needed to ask the necessary questions. He wasn't senile, yet. After downing his 3rd cup of watered milk, Natsuki said, we're here to find Felt. Felt? Hearing this familiar name, Rom's thick bushy eyebrows twitched. What business do you two have with her? As he spoke, his hand secretly reached for something under the counter, out of their sight. If these two said something they shouldn't, he'd have to throw them out. Though his method might be a bit violent. Fortunately, things didn't take that turn. We're here to buy something from her. Natsuki placed a white plastic bag on the counter. Then, holding his head in his hands with furrowed brows, he said, actually, we lost something and want to buy it back from her. Hearing this, Rom immediately understood. Not lost, but stolen. Felt must have taken something from them, and knowing it was her, they'd come to wait and buy it back. This kind of thing happened often. Though he felt sorry for those who had things stolen, this was her way of survival, and he could only apologize to them. Oh, so that's how it is. Rom's tense body relaxed, and his face grew friendly. Felt isn't back yet, why don't you wait? Then he turned to Adam. Young man, you can put away your hostility. I thought you were here to cause trouble earlier, but I didn't mean to harm you. At most I would have just thrown you out. As he finished speaking, he placed his hands on the counter in plain view, letting both of them see his movements. His battle-hardened instincts had been sending out strong warnings when he targeted the two, telling him just how dangerous the young man in white was. Let's hope so. Adam said softly, withdrawing his hidden hostility. What's going on? Natsuki looked confused, not understanding what had happened. As his conversation with Rom changed, the scene's interactions changed too. Even the originally single cup of watered milk had increased to 3 cups. Events were developing toward a future he didn't know. Adam said meaningfully, it's nothing, just that old man Rom wasn't sure which way to treat us as guests. Oh ho ho ho! Rom laughed thick-skinned, showing no embarrassment at all. As expected of a centenarian who had seen it all, this kind of situation meant nothing to him. Well then, before Felt returns, I'd like old man Rom to take a look at this. Natsuki pulled out his old flip phone and, with an exaggerated expression meant to convince, said, "Behold. This magical item called a meteor. T/N, meteor is the same as magic tool or magical devices. What's this?" Rom looked curiously at the phone in the kid's hand, this unknown object easily catching his attention. This meteor has powerful functions. While Natsuki vividly described the phone to Rom, Adam carefully examined the items in the stolen goods warehouse. Though appearing to browse merchandise, he was actually surveying the terrain. Since this place would soon become a battlefield, he needed to study the layout and prepare, while searching for anything useful. Unfortunately, by the time Natsuki finished explaining the flip phone's powerful functions, Adam hadn't found any useful support items. "How about it, old man Rom? My meteor must be worth a lot." The confident smile on Natsuki's face showed he wasn't worried about his phone being undervalued. Having interacted many times before, he deeply trusted the old man's character and professional integrity. "Indeed, let me think about what price would be appropriate." Rom fell into thought. Just then, the tightly closed wooden door of the warehouse burst open. A small girl with golden hair, red eyes, and fangs strode in confidently. "Oh! Old man Rom has guests." As soon as she entered, Felt noticed Adam and Natsuki, yet she walked right in without showing any hesitation. "Oh, it's Felt." Rom greeted her. "You're finally back, Felt." Natsuki exclaimed joyfully. Seeing everyone was present, Adam stood up, stretching his neck and shoulders. "Finally, everyone's here." Then he asked Natsuki, "Tell me, should we follow protocol, or just knock them out and take them?" "Hey! X3! The three exclaimed in surprise in unison. Chapter 72 The actors take their places, the stage unfolds. After Adam's words, the atmosphere grew as tense as drawn bowstrings. "Hey! Carter, what are you saying?" Natsuki stared in shock, unable to comprehend his sudden declaration. Felt's hand flew to her waist, drawing her short dagger. Keeping her guard up against the two strangers, she turned to Rom. "Hey, what's going on here? So you really did come to cause trouble?" Rom ignored her question, instead addressing the bewildered Natsuki. "What's happening, young man? Weren't you two together? Why do you look just as surprised?" "I have no idea what's going on either." Natsuki's panic was rising. Through 10 previous loops where events had played out similarly, he'd navigated these interactions with practiced ease. But Adam's sudden aggressive move had thrown everything into chaos. Still, Natsuki knew he wouldn't act without reason. He must have devised a strategy he himself hadn't considered. Indeed, having experienced 5 loops himself, even without memories to guide him, Adam would surely seek a way to break through this deadlock. And his solution was brilliantly simple: remove the key players from the scene. The equation was perfect. No Felt meant no trading partner, which meant no badge present, which meant no trade would happen, which meant Natsuki wouldn't die avoiding return by death entirely. "Think it through, Subaru-kun. If we told Felt and old man Rom you're both about to be killed, they'd never believe us." Adam explained, "But Felt has the badge for the trade. If the badge isn't here, the trade can't happen. After all, you can't have a transaction without both item and trader, right?" Natsuki felt his mind opening to the possibility. He'd repeated this scene 10 times, and even with Adam's help in 5 attempts, they'd failed to save Felt and Rom. Perhaps knocking them out and carrying them away was the answer. As the saying goes, if you can't solve the problem, remove its source. "Hey, I can't understand a word you two are saying." Felt's upturned eyes flashed as she bared her small fangs. "What's this about old man Rom and me getting killed? Why would you want to knock us out and take us away? Who are you people?" Rom hefted a massive wooden club from beneath the counter, leveling it at the two men. "That's right. Even if we can't stop you, young man, don't think you'll take us easily." Just as the standoff reached its peak, a figure appeared in the doorway. What's happening here?" A sweet feminine voice cut through the tension, drawing all eyes toward its source. When Natsuki heard this voice, he immediately perked up, shouting, "She's here, she's here." His face flushed as he gazed at the newcomer with the admiration of a youth in love. To him, that person standing at the door wasn't just like an angel, she truly was one. Everyone turned toward the doorway, where long silver-white hair gleamed brilliantly in the setting sun. Her deep purple eyes held both the innocence of someone unworldly and an intellectual beauty. Her gentle features blended allure with youthfulness, radiating a noble and mysterious charm. Standing about 160 centimeters tall, she wore simple white clothes without decoration. Yet this understated style only enhanced her striking presence, while her cloak, though concealing, added an air of dignity. She was the half-elf Amelia, the girl Natsuki had sworn to save, even if it meant looping 10 times. Felt's face fell at the sight of her, remembering the special badge she'd just stolen. "We're in trouble, old man Ram, she's found us," she said worriedly. "Great, so you were here," Amelia said sternly, spotting the little thief. "I won't let you escape this time." Felt clicked her tongue in annoyance. "You're such a pest. How persistent can you be? I apologize, but that's the one thing I cannot give up. If you quietly return it to me, I might be willing to forgive you." Amelia formed ice crystals in the air, aiming them at everyone present. "I have only one demand: return the badge to me. It's an extremely important item." She had clearly assumed everyone present was working with the thief. But hearing her words, Felt and Ram looked completely bewildered. "What's going on? Aren't you all working together?" In their eyes, the three outsiders seemed to be working at cross purposes, leaving them thoroughly confused. "No, we are working together. Our goal is to buy back the badge from you and return it to her." Natsuki stepped forward. "So, Felt, just return the badge to her. Of course, you won't lose out. This meteor worth 20 equals Oleoin, will serve as an exchange. How about it?" He pressured her to make a choice, acting as if he had her cornered. "This is so annoying, looks like I've really lost this time." Felt made a disgruntled face as she reached into her clothes for the badge. Though she would receive merchandise of equal value, she still felt frustrated at failing to complete her commission. When Amelia saw the badge, her face lit up with joy, her guard dropping for just a moment. At that instant, a black shadow flashed from the darkness, rushing toward the unguarded girl. A sharp blade gleamed coldly, drawing a perfect arc as it struck toward Amelia. It was Elsa. She had seized this brief moment to attack. Natsuki's face changed dramatically as he shouted, "Puck, defend!" Thunder breathing, first form thunderclap and flash. Just as he shouted, Adam simultaneously unleashed his thunder-breathing technique. Clang! Ting! Two metallic sounds rang out in quick succession as light flashed through the darkened room. Elsa's short blade clashed against the crystal barrier while Adam's sword deflected her dagger. So fast! His expression darkened. Her speed vastly outmatched his own pre-marked state. Adam had been carefully positioning himself near Amelia since she entered, anticipating a sneak attack. Yet Elsa's incredible speed still caught him off guard. "Good job, Puck, Carter." Natsuki beamed, and Puck remained unruffled. But Adam's face betrayed his concern. He'd resorted to thunder breathing in the heat of the moment, when he really needed water breathing, his strongest and most natural technique. The problem was, switching between breathing styles required a full 5 minutes to adjust. Though his body was powerful, these techniques, while amplifying his strength, also placed increasing strain on his body. This made the adjustment period essential. Now it made sense why in previous loops, even with Amelia and Puck's help, they couldn't overcome Elsa. He'd never been able to fight at full strength. The fault didn't lie in Adam's carelessness. Natsuki simply hadn't understood his limitations, and Adam hadn't explained them. Damn! He'd been outmaneuvered, or rather, he was just irritated with himself. My, everyone's here." A seductive voice came from the mature, alluring woman before them. Chapter 73: A Grand Performance. Dancing together. What's going on? Felt's mind had turned to mush. What do you mean what's going on? Can't you see this gut-ripping maniac is trying to kill us all? Natsuki was furious. He'd lost count of how many times this had happened. Every time they were about to convince Felt, Elsa would appear out of nowhere to reap the battlefield, and he'd loop again. He was about to explode with anger. My, if it isn't the young man! Elsa spotted Adam standing in front of Amelia, her face lighting up with joy. "I didn't expect we'd meet again so soon. I'm delighted. Indeed, I'm also happy to meet Big Sis again. I've been really looking forward to that taste you mentioned." Though Adam's words were enthusiastic, his expression and stance remained completely alert. Hee. She let out a seductive laugh, lifting her sharp blade as she invited him. Well then, young man, shall we begin? Sorry, not possible right now. He immediately refused, then added regretfully, I shouldn't refuse Big Sis's kind invitation, but I need a few more minutes to recover my strength. Could you wait a bit longer? Oh my, what a shame. Elsa's face showed disappointment. Adam turned his head to ask the girl behind him, can you hold on for 5 minutes? Don't underestimate me, I'm a spiritual arts user. Amelia declared stubbornly. Don't worry, young man. I'm a mature man, unlike you youngsters who can only go once. I've got great endurance. Puck chimed in playfully. Are you really a pure spirit? Though Adam wanted to retort, this wasn't the time for banter. To help, he needed to quickly switch his breathing technique. He retreated to Natsuki's side and said, Subaru-kun, if we don't make it this time, when you meet me next time, tell me to only use water attribute breathing techniques, okay? Oh. Natsuki felt uncertain. Though he didn't know what breathing techniques were, hearing this, he could only nod and keep it in mind. Afterward, Adam accelerated his steady breathing while keeping his eyes fixed on Elsa's movements, analyzing her assassination techniques to imitate them later. He didn't use magic support during this time. Carelessly using magic would consume mana and affect his mark state's enhancement, and besides, Puck was performing admirably without his support. On the battlefield, Puck fought Elsa while trading banter. She truly lived up to her reputation as an exceptional bowel hunter. Her strength was no joke, probably ranking at the bottom of the 3rd tier. In the narrow, ice crystal-filled room, she moved with perfect agility, always finding secure footing. Most importantly, she could always find opportunities to counterattack, forcing Puck to divide his attention between attacking and protecting Amelia. As expected of a seasoned bowel hunter. Time gradually passed. Puck's form became translucent, about to dissipate. Hey, young man over there, I've delayed for 10 minutes. That should be enough, right? He said to Adam, who was still analyzing. If you're a man, get it up quickly. Don't keep a beautiful lady waiting. Yes, 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 I'm ready now. Adam looked at the skills on his adventurer card with satisfaction. Assassination technique, Elsa Grandhired acquired. Your assassination technique is strong, but now it's mine. Well then, I leave it to you, young man. Puck raised his fluffy paw to high-five him as a handoff, then turned to Amelia. Leah, looks like this is it for me. If anything happens, call me even if it costs all your spirit energy. Rest Puck, I'll handle things from here. Amelia's face showed determination, her stance making it clear she wouldn't rely on others. Well then, beautiful lady, until we meet again. Puck politely bid farewell to Elsa. Oh my, is that all? Elsa's face fell with disappointment. She was clearly unsatisfied. Those words wound my fragile heart, Big Sis. Adam interrupted forcefully. As he activated his Demon Slayer mark, solemn water blue markings appeared on his face. A gentleman shouldn't monopolize one lady, she should experience more men. In this regard, I think Puck did well. Adam still completed in his mind, not being my lady. Well said, young man. Then, I leave it to you. Puck gave him a thumbs up before dissipating into the air. With his disappearance, the ice crystals he had condensed also vanished. Adam lamented their loss. They could have helped restrict Elsa's movements. Please protect Subaru-kun, Felt, an old man Rom. Adam softly told Amelia, then turned to Elsa with a teasing smile. Round 2 begins. I wonder if Big Sis still has the energy for another dance. Though his words were playful, he had already taken his stance, leaving her no chance to refuse. His water blue robe matched perfectly with the patterns on his face, while the pure water elemental aura around him intensified. He was fully prepared. My, has the young man recovered? Well then, I'll dance with you for a while. Elsa licked her alluring red lips, eyeing him with delight. Just make sure to stay firm for a while, don't disappoint me. Rest assured, a man's second time is usually quite lasting, I guarantee. Adam made the first move. Water breathing, 7th form drop ripple thrust. His sword struck out at maximum speed, taking the shortest path to thrust at Elsa's chest, both fast and fierce. He needed to test the gap between himself in mark state and the bowel hunter. Facing the incoming sword, Elsa showed no panic. She smiled lightly as she raised her short blade, blocking the sword just before it could pierce her chest. A clear clang rang out as sparks flew from the clashing weapons. An even match. While matched in speed, Adam's combat experience paled in comparison to Elsa's. When faced with a deadly thrust, she remained perfectly composed, blocking it at the last possible moment with expert precision. Adam knew that in her position, his inexperience would have led him to dodge a defensive move that would have cost him the initiative. Elsa's mastery showed in how she turned defense into opportunity, never missing a chance to exploit openings in her opponent's attacks. The difference in their battle prowess was clear. "Young man, you're amazing." Elsa leaped back to create distance, studying Adam's transformed state with admiration. "This heroic stance, is it divine protection? How wonderful to be loved by the world." Unlike Elsa, who bore a curse that earned her the vampire title, she possessed no divine protection. Her formidable strength came purely from her curse and years of relentless training. She couldn't help but feel a twinge of envy toward those blessed with power without having to earn it. Divine protection? Something like that. Adam didn't correct her misconception, but never mind that, big sis. Care for another round? I'm not quite satisfied yet. He extended another invitation to their deadly dance. Being the battle-hungry warrior she was, Elsa would never decline such a challenge. She offered a seductive smile. "All right then, let's continue." Chapter 74, the finale. Elsa adjusted her posture and charged forward again, Adam meeting her head-on with equal determination. Sparks flew as their blades clashed with thunderous force. In their deadly arena, they traded fierce blows targeting vital points, their weapons dancing in lethal rhythm as neither yielded ground. Even Natsuki, an outsider, could see that while the two moved in an intimate dance of blades, every movement carried killing intent, each fighter determined to strike the other down. So strong. Are these two even human? Felt an old man Ram wanted to help, but witnessing such an intense battle, they wisely stayed back to avoid hindering their ally. In his duel with Elsa, Adam gradually gained the upper hand through his Mark State's explosive power. Having analyzed and copied her assassination techniques, he knew the timing of her attack intervals perfectly, allowing him to seize the initiative repeatedly. Gradually, Elsa's wounds multiplied. Though her minor injuries healed quickly, she was clearly being suppressed and couldn't mount a counterattack. Her form-fitting clothes, now torn, revealed patches of snow-white skin, making her appear dangerously alluring. An opening. His left hand struck from an unexpected angle. With one precise palm strike to Elsa's wrist, he snatched one of her short blades while simultaneously kicking her away. "Beautiful!" Natsuki shouted excitedly. In the previous 4 loops, they had always gone directly to the warehouse to face Elsa. Each time, Amelia would suddenly appear, and he would die protecting her from a sneak attack, leading to another loop. But this time, they had arrived slightly later, and Adam was able to suppress her. He didn't dwell on it. Defeating this gruesome woman was all that mattered. Victory was within reach. Elsa was kicked into the broken shelves by Adam's powerful strike, but she burst from the dust mere seconds later. Clang! Short blade and upgraded Nichiren sword clashed once more. "That hurt, young man," Elsa said playfully, though her movements grew sharper as she mercilessly targeted his lower body. "Sorry, I should have been more gentle with a lady." But her attacks proved futile. Useless, 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 useless. Adam had completely analyzed all of her assassination technique patterns. They could no longer affect him. Thanks to puck buying time, he had been able to focus on analysis and suppress her. Now was the time to defeat her in one go. Water breathing, 12th form transformation of time rain. Massive magical power burst forth, creating a domain of slowness that enveloped Elsa, restricting her superhuman speed. Water breathing, first form water surface slash. A merciless double strike. A straight slash aimed at Elsa's neck, intending to end the battle with decapitation. Though uncertain whether the Nichiren sword would work on curse users in this other world, that didn't stop Adam from attempting beheading. Whether it would work or not, he had to try. Even at this most dangerous moment, Elsa merely gave a light laugh. Then, to his disbelief, she took half a step back. "What? Are you serious with that half step backward? No way, this is my proudest sword technique. How can everyone dodge it? Don't I deserve some respect?" But that half step turned what should have been a decapitating blow into a strike across her elegant collarbone, making a chilling grinding sound. After taking this hit head on, Elsa took a large step back and retreated from the domain. It hurts, it hurts. This feeling of being alive is so wonderful. She caressed the huge diagonal slash across her collarbone. Blood gushed out, staining her snow-white skin from chest to waist red, but as she stroked it, the massive wound began healing rapidly until it returned to normal. Such terrifying regeneration. Adam frowned and asked, "May I ask a question? Though you might not answer. What is it? How did you move within the domain?" "Domain? Ah, your domain is truly powerful, young man. I almost died." Elsa gave a light laugh and praised him before answering, "Your domain probably uses massive magical power to invade and control the enemy's body and mana flow, achieving infinite slowdown of their movements. But unfortunately, I'm a half-vampire with special energy in my body. While my mana was restricted, that energy wasn't. So that's how you dodged at the last moment." His frown softened. Anyone would be frustrated when their best sword technique gets countered so easily. But even so, I nearly died. If I hadn't concentrated all my energy in my feet to break free of the domain's control, I might be dead now. Though she spoke casually, her lightning-fast reaction in that moment was truly terrifying. Elsa touched her perfectly healed skin, her flushed face gazing at Adam with growing affection. "Ah, this feeling is wonderful. I've fallen for you, young man. I'm truly blessed to be liked by such a beautiful older sister. But unfortunately, I must defeat you." Taking up his stance again, he declared, "Bowel Hunter Elsa Granhired. Swordmaster Carter." They announced their names to each other before clashing once more. The others could only watch anxiously from the sidelines. Adam maintained the upper hand after all, he had analyzed all of Elsa's attack patterns. "I've been curious since earlier, young man, you seem to know me very well." As the battle intensified, Elsa's gentle smile vanished. Her cold expression transformed her into an icy serpent, her intelligent eyes barely masking the madness as she stared intently at Adam. "My attacks, my defense, my movements, everything seems to be within your expectations." She spoke with equal parts question and confirmation. "Young man, could it be that you've even figured out my thought process?" "Who knows? But I can say for certain that there's no room for you to show your skills here, big sister." Adam gave an ambiguous response before firmly stating, "I'm sorry, but you alone cannot stand against us. Of course, if big sister were to retreat now, we might let you go." His final words carried both warning and certainty. She responded defiantly, "A Bowel Hunter won't give up over such a small setback. Completing the mission comes first, even at the cost of my life. That's the Bowel Hunter's REAO." Elsa, who was about to declare her dignity, suddenly collapsed to her knees, looking pathetic. "What's happening? Ah, the holy water finally took effect. I was starting to think it wasn't working after all this time." Before coming to ReZero, Adam had specifically asked Aqua to prepare 3 vials of holy water for emergencies, and unexpectedly used it so soon. He had secretly applied it to his blade earlier. Aqua's holy water had special damage effects against undead. As a half-vampire and cursed woman with extraordinary physical regeneration, Elsa favored a reckless fighting style of trading wounds. Adam had targeted this weakness precisely. By applying holy water to his blade and trading blows with her, he had introduced the holy water into her body, a strategy she never anticipated. The effect had taken nearly an hour to manifest. Was it because this was another world, or because Elsa was only half-vampire? Perhaps Aqua had simply given him inferior holy water. The more he thought about it, the more likely that seemed. Regardless, the result was clear. She now knelt before him, powerless to resist. "I'm sorry, big sister, but it seems I have no choice but to end you here permanently." Adam slowly walked up to her, pointing his Nicaran sword at her, "But I still want to prove that my attraction to mature women like you isn't a lie. Rather, big sister is exactly my type." My, such sweet words even at the end. With her mana sealed and her vampire body paralyzed by the holy water, Elsa could only wait for death, completely immobilized. "Young man, if there is a next time, shall we try dating?" "Sure, if there is a next time." Adam exhaled softly. Water breathing, 7th form drop ripple thrust. One strike pierced through her chest. Chapter 75 Not fucking again. The dragon carriage ride in this other world was far from smooth. Though beautiful scenery stretched along their path, Adam couldn't bring himself to care. The uneven road left his bottom numb from constant jolting, and the cushion offered little comfort. Any appreciation for the landscape had been thoroughly dampened by his discomfort. He was accompanying Natsuki and Amelia to Roswaal's mansion at the border. Amelia had invited them both to the border count's mansion as thanks for recovering the insignia. Natsuki, eager to stay close to her, had agreed instantly. Adam had initially planned to seek out Reinhardt with Felt, but his concern for Natsuki potentially entering the Wrath route held him back. He'd considered forcibly separating Natsuki from Amelia, but worried the stubborn youth might spiral into some strange if route, his love twisting into hatred. With no other options, he'd been forced to yield. So it's all your fault, world. Adam couldn't help but sigh. What's wrong? You seem down. Natsuki, who'd been awkwardly chatting with Amelia, noticed and asked about his mood. Thanks to Adam's intervention, he had avoided injury. Now, sitting in the same carriage as the beautiful girl who occupied his thoughts, he was practically buzzing with energy. Felt and old man Ram had also escaped unharmed, having stayed clear of the battle entirely. Hearing his concern, Adam waved dismissively and said, "It's nothing, just worried about Felt." Felt, hey. Natsuki paused thoughtfully, then added, "Yeah, I wonder if they'll manage to leave the slums without trouble." Leaving the slums. That had always been Felt's dream. Since Reinhardt hadn't shown up, Adam seized the chance to help her, suggesting, "Since you're so keen to leave the slums, why not seek out Reinhardt at the Sword Saint family?" Though she seemed doubtful, her determination to escape the slums would drive her forward. Soon enough, he knew, word would spread of the kingdom's fifth candidate's appearance. Adam's scheme would curry favor with both Reinhardt and Felt. When the time came, securing a duel with the Sword Saint would be simple. Besides, visiting Roswaal at the border count's mansion had its perks. The man possessed an unmatched mastery of magic and affinities, and they were practically being invited right to him. Addressing Natsuki's concerns, Adam, privy to Felt's true identity, replied cryptically, "Don't worry, when that kid shows up again, you won't believe your eyes." Then he turned to Amelia. "Amelia, you don't have much time left." The statement caught her off guard. She remained oblivious to her predicament. The fifth candidate's emergence would hasten the royal selection. As a silver-haired half-elf, Amelia faced inherent disadvantages, lagging even behind the yet-to-appear Felt. The little girl's royal bloodline granted her natural advantages. Even lacking experience and power, she had Reinhardt's formidable support. Amelia, however, stood alone without foundation, constantly undermined by those closest to her. Roswaal, her supposed supporter, secretly fed information to the witch cult and arranged assassination attempts to further his agenda. Ram's loyalty lay with Roswaal, and Rem's with Ram. Even Natsuki, who genuinely wanted to help, was like a ticking bomb. One misstep could spell disaster for both Amelia and the world. Honestly, one had to wonder whether Natsuki or Amelia should be the desperate one. Good grief! Her entire team was full of actors, without a single trustworthy soul among them. Adam sighed again. A headache was building as he contemplated what lay ahead. This time, even Amelia grew concerned and asked, "Are you all right? I know healing magic. Would you like me to help treat you?" Her expression was genuine and unguarded, showing sincere worry for him. To show such concern for someone she'd just met, what a good child. "No, she's over 100 years old." No problem." Thinking of her actual age, Adam laughed awkwardly and waved his hands dismissively. "Really? You look unwell. Are you sure you're okay?" Amelia's motherly questioning was endearing, the kind anyone would appreciate. Natsuki chimed in with his own worry, "That's right. Carter, if you're not feeling well you must say so, you're our biggest contributor." "No need, I'm fine, don't worry. Just tired from fighting the bowel hunter. I'll be better after some rest." Only after his reassurance did Amelia finally relax. Speaking of Elsa, Adam had buried her in the deepest part of the slums where no one ventured. He'd done it with his own hands, claiming it was respect given to the strong. The dragon carriage continued its journey. Natsuki, experiencing the giddy throes of first love, attempted awkward conversation with Amelia while Adam closed his eyes to rest. When he opened his eyes again, they had arrived at the border count's mansion. Despite the late hour, two maids stood waiting at the entrance for Amelia's return. With his keen eyesight, Adam could make out their features clearly from afar. They were unmistakably twins. Both stood about 150 centimeters tall with neck-length hair, though they differed in color and style, one with pink hair, bangs covering her left eye, the other with blue hair covering her right. They shared large eyes and delicate pink lips, their features soft and endearing rather than striking. Their attire was classic maid uniform black dresses with frilled aprons and white head dresses. Though nearly identical, the blue-haired maid had a slightly more generous figure than her pink-haired sister. The dragon carriage came to a halt in the mansion's courtyard. The maids spoke in perfect unison. "Welcome back, Emilia. X2. Rem, I'm back." Emilia greeted them and gestured to her companions, "These two are my benefactors. Please show them to their rooms, I'll explain everything to Roswaal." After instructing the maids, she turned to her guests. "It's late now. Shall we talk tomorrow?" Okay." Adam and Natsuki nodded in agreement. Ram and Rem stepped forward, "Please follow us, guests." The group entered the mansion. The residence was every bit a count's manor, with centuries of history woven into its grandeur. Ornate chandeliers hung at regular intervals, precious artifacts adorned the halls, and each room showcased masterful craftsmanship in its design. The opulence was almost overwhelming. Yet neither the young boy nor the young man showed any surprise as they followed the maids to their quarters. They were given separate rooms on opposite sides of the hall. "Please rest well, guests. X2. With that, the maids departed swiftly. "Rest well, Subaru. You too, Carter." After bidding good night, Adam settled into the plush bed. But sleep eluded him. Insomnia had struck again. He longed for his body pillow. After tossing and turning in the large bed, he muttered to himself, "Time to sleep, tomorrow morning I'll wake up to beautiful maids providing surround sound service." With this comforting thought, he gradually drifted into dreamland. "Wake up! Carter, wake up!" But instead of the maids' gentle voices, an unexpected sound jolted him awake. Through his drowsy haze, he heard the desperate words. "Please, Carter. Help me." That's what he said. In an instant, Adam snapped fully awake. "Not fucking again." Chapter 76. Go to hell. I was wrong. Terribly wrong. I never should have crossed over here in the first place. If I hadn't crossed over, I wouldn't have met Natsuki. If I hadn't met that bastard, I wouldn't have gotten tangled in this headache playing babysitter and cleaning up his messes. I'm disappointed not just in this immortal zombie, but in myself too. I thought I was going to beat this game in one life and dominate. But now? How did it end up like this? Am I really this useless? Why hasn't a single one of my plans worked since coming here? Sigh. Adam let out a long breath. After composing himself, he turned to face the troubled-looking boy and asked, "Which attempt is this?" "Hey." Natsuki scratched his head in confusion. "I mean, which Galga attempt is this? 1, 3, 5, or maybe 10? Adam demanded, making it clear he wanted no time wasted. Galga. This was the code word established between him and Natsuki, with the numbers indicating how many loops he had gone through. Used only between them, it was both discreet and practical. I haven't played any Galga." "What?" Adam was stunned. Haven't played Galga meant that Natsuki hadn't gone through any loops yet. Hearing this, Adam's heart, which had been in his throat until now, finally settled down. But when he realized the boy was still asking for help, his heart leaped right back up, and he hurriedly asked, "Then why did you say you needed my help?" About that. Listen, Carter." Natsuki said through gritted teeth, his face angry, "I woke up early needing to use the bathroom, but this place is so huge I couldn't find my way out. And then? Then I realized these corridors were actually infinite loops, you know, one of those starting room is the end situations. When I found the first room, I rushed in without thinking." Tisk. Continue. "Then I saw this blonde drill-haired loli. I barely said anything before she put her hand on me and did something and I passed out. The pain was excruciating, like dying all over again. That's it. That's it. Are you a child? Getting pushed around by a little loli and running back crying for help? You've got to be kidding. Even though I said you could ask for help when in danger, that doesn't mean any time. Do you have any idea what please? Carter, help me. Does to me? It nearly stops my heart. Carter, you have to help me get revenge. Teach that drill-haired loli a lesson, make her cry and apologize to me." Natsuki kept chattering, just complaining about how much pain Beatrice, had caused him. He had no idea how his words had shocked Adam. Subaru-kun, could you come here for a moment? He called out to this bastard with a sunny smile. Carter, your smile is kind of weird. Natsuki obediently walked over. Why are you smiling like that? Please stop, it's making me uncomfortable. Is that so? Sorry about that. Adam apologized with his fake smile, his expression unchanging. Carter. Subaru-kun, I want you to understand something. This is someone else's mansion, and causing a disturbance is very impolite. As guests, we shouldn't create conflicts with the residents. Even if you are wronged, don't seek revenge, wait for the master to return, explain the situation, and let them handle it. Do you understand? Throughout this, Adam maintained his smile while explaining proper etiquette and where Natsuki had gone wrong. Oh. I understand. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Perhaps sensing danger, the boy quickly bowed his head in apology. No, that's not right. You shouldn't be apologizing to me, you should apologize to that little girl. Adam smiled as he delivered this correction, then added, however, your actions do deserve some punishment. Punishment? What punishment? Natsuki's throat bobbed as he swallowed nervously. He, what punishment? Adam's sunny smile darkened instantly, black shadows emerging from his body as he raised his right fist. Go to hell. Take this. While shouting, he aimed straight for Natsuki's cheek. Personality correction punch. Aqua. The punch landed too fast for Natsuki to react, sending him flying straight out the window. Why me? His cry echoed as he plummeted onto the central lawn below. Thud. At that moment, Rem was fertilizing the flowers and grass on the lawn. When she spotted Natsuki face down in the freshly fertilized grass, her expression flickered. She immediately set down her tools and turned to leave, pretending she hadn't seen anything. Unfortunately for her, he'd noticed her the instant he landed. Hey! Maid over there, why are you pretending not to see me? Natsuki lifted his fertilizer-covered face and called out, please, could you help pull me out? TCH. Rem clicked her tongue in disgust but walked over and yanked him from the fertilizer. If the guest enjoys fertilizer so much, I'll prepare some for your breakfast. She said venomously, this is my sister's special blend, seeing how well these flowers grow, I'm sure it must taste wonderful. No need to thank me. This is what we maids do. Before Natsuki could object, Rem had already decided on his extra serving. Hey! This is a misunderstanding. He protested, how could humans possibly eat fertilizer? Oh? The guest is missing out. Rem's face fell in mock disappointment, apparently saddened he wouldn't taste her sister's carefully blended fertilizer. I'm sorry, but could I take a bath? And if possible, get a change of clothes. Natsuki wiped his dirty face and tugged at his smelly pajamas. The guest is quite demanding. Things are fine as they are, always causing trouble for others. Rem said icily. Well, I am a guest after all, aren't I? He brought up his status, hoping to earn some respect from the maid. Rem's eyes sharpened, making Natsuki flinch. But she didn't do anything untoward, instead adopting a coldly professional demeanor. Yes, please follow me, guest. Natsuki didn't understand her attitude but followed anyway. Leaning by the window, Adam found the scene below strangely amusing. Afraid of being discovered by the two below, he held in his laughter until his face turned red. At that moment, the person standing next to him spoke up in Natsuki's defense. Please don't bully him too much. Even though he's a bit strange, he's a good kid. Don't worry, this is proof of the trust and friendship between Subaru-kun and me, Emilia. Is that so? Yes, it is. Adam deceived her. I see. She nodded, believing his words with a relieved expression. Really now, she's way too trusting. Chapter 77 The Manor's Residence. The morning's commotion brought life to the quiet mansion. Breaking his routine, Adam skipped his morning exercises. Disciplining Natsuki had served as enough of a warm-up. One punch had left him feeling refreshed. I can see you're recovering well, Adam. Emilia had come early to check on him. She had been worried after seeing him unwell the previous night. Thank you for your concern. I'm perfectly healthy now. Adam looked at the half-elf beauty beside him and flexed his right arm to demonstrate. That's wonderful. She patted her chest in relief. Her sincere concern and pure nature were touching. No wonder Natsuki had fallen completely under her spell, or rather, had allowed himself to fall. Her silver hair was braided in a dangerous hairstyle that cascaded over her right side. She wore thick pink pajamas, white stockings, and cute cotton slippers. This simple attire only emphasized her innate purity, making her even more charming. After chatting with Emilia further, he asked her opinion of Natsuki. Her response, though he is strange, I can tell he's a good kid, showed she viewed him as merely a child. Sigh. You've got a long way to go, Japanese boy. However, Adam wasn't one to meddle. He would merely observe Natsuki's first encounter in this other world without interfering. At most, he'd offer some small advice. Lady Emilia, guest. Ram appeared at the doorway and announced softly, Master Roswaal has returned. Roswaal is back? Oh no, I need to change clothes. Startled, Emilia glanced at her sleepwear and hurried off to change into proper attire. See you soon, Adam. She called as she left. All right. He nodded. After she departed, Ram addressed him respectfully, Guest, your clothes have been washed. She returned the garments she had taken the night before. Thank you, Ram. Adam said softly. She gave a slight bow, it's my duty. Her respectful manner held a hint of distance and wariness. This made sense, it was during the crucial royal selection period. At such a sensitive time, two sudden outsiders like Adam and Natsuki naturally warranted caution and monitoring. He understood this was simply human nature and took no offense. Time would prove him a harmless visitor. Ram waited outside while he changed. The clean clothes carried a fresh scent and felt wonderfully soft. The tears from his sword fight with Elsa had been so carefully mended they were nearly invisible. How thoughtful! Donning the pristine robe and adjusting his appearance showed respect not only for others but for himself. Once ready, he turned to her, let's go. This way please, guest. Ram led him to the dining room. She had been waiting specifically for this purpose. Following Ram's guidance down the long corridor, they arrived at the dining room where familiar faces had already gathered. Emilia, Subaru, Puck, the twin maids, and Beatrice, a young girl with golden drill-style twin tails, were all present. Beatrice's cream-colored hair was styled in vertical curls, secured with pink butterfly ribbons. Her round face and broad forehead were complemented by large blue eyes bearing pink butterfly patterns. Her elaborate pink-frilled dress, black and white striped stockings, and small decorative top hat created an enchanting appearance. Despite being a 400-year-old artificial spirit, she maintained the appearance of a young girl. At the moment, she was happily playing with Puck. Noticing Beatrice's indifference toward Adam, Emilia sought to ease the tension with introductions. Beatrice, let me introduce you. This is one of my benefactors, Adam. Humph. Hearing her words, perhaps because she was Puck's contractor, Beatrice gave a light snort, which counted as a greeting to take. Emilia continued with the introductions. Adam, this is Beatrice, who manages the library. Please get along well. Hello, Beatrice. He stepped forward and bowed. I sincerely apologize for Subaru's rudeness, and hope you can forgive that abrupt and discourteous child. Then turning to Natsuki, he called out, Subaru, come apologize too. Oh. Though initially reluctant, Natsuki fell silent upon seeing his threatening gaze. He marched over stiffly and bowed at a perfect 90-degree angle. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Humph. Beatrice responded with another snort, turning her head away. Was that forgiveness? Despite her youthful appearance, being 400 years old, surely she wouldn't dwell on such a minor incident, especially since Natsuki had already received his punishment. Everyone watched Beatrice expectantly, but she offered no further response. With that tsundere attitude of not knowing what to say, she must have forgiven him, right? Ah, being tsundere really ruins one's life. Oh my! What are you all doing here? A peculiar voice with an affected intonation interrupted from behind. Beatrice, trying to mask her tsundere moment, replied testily, it's because you asked for it, isn't it? Betty wouldn't be here if it weren't for brother being here. Is that so? If that's the case, I'm very hurt. Humph, one person with problems is enough, you should try to be a bit more normal. Beatrice retorted. The newcomer, unfazed, strode into the dining room. Clown, this single word captured his essence perfectly. Though tall and well-built, he wore a clown's costume, his handsome features were hidden beneath clown makeup. His affected speech and mannerisms suggested he was fully embracing the role of a jester. This was Roswaal L. Mathers, master of the Border Count's mansion. Natsuki started to reach for Roswaal's shoulder to lighten the mood, but Adam's death glare made him quickly withdraw his hand and stand at attention. It seemed he had taken the lessons about politeness to heart. Roswaal offered his introduction to the group. "Allow me to introduce myself, I am Roswaal L. Mathers, master of this mansion. I look forward to our acquaintance, Mr. Subaru and Mr. Carter." Chapter 78 I want to have a duel with Roswaal. When the master arrived, everyone took their seats. As lord of the mansion, Roswaal naturally sat at the head of the table, with two maids standing behind him to attend to his needs. Amelia, whose status officially surpassed his, sat in the first position on his right, with Natsuki beside her. Beatrice sat in the first position on the left holding Puck, with Adam sitting next to her. "Well then, don't be shy, please enjoy yourselves." As host, only after Roswaal's invitation could everyone pick up their utensils. This was basic etiquette that even Natsuki knew, requiring no special reminder. The feast laid out before them was truly appetizing. Having eaten only apples yesterday, this was the finest meal Adam had enjoyed since his arrival. In his previous world of KonoSuba, no one in his party could cook, himself included. They had relied on the Adventurers Guild for meals, all fast food fare that was greasy and bland. While initially novel and tasty, such food quickly became unpalatable. "Delicious," Adam said sincerely, "this food is excellently prepared and suits my taste perfectly. It really is delicious." Natsuki agreed while eagerly consuming his meal. Though his enthusiastic eating manner might have seemed impolite, wasn't it also the highest praise for the cook? "Right. All of this was made by Rem," Roswaal declared proudly, gesturing to Rem, who stood behind his right side. "Among all the servants in the mansion, Rem's cooking is the best." "You praise me too highly," she responded with graceful humility befitting a maid. "Compared to my dear sister, I still fall far short." Roswaal gave a light chuckle but said nothing more. "Miss Rem, might you teach me how to cook?" Adam asked. Although Analyze and Copy protested at learning such a mundane skill, he desperately wanted to avoid the guild's greasy fare. "If Lord Roswaal permits it," Rem replied diplomatically, deferring to her master. "That's fine if Carter wants to, let Rem teach you." Roswaal's gaze lingered intensely on Adam. Though well concealed, Adam's keen sensitivity detected something in that look that made him uneasy. Others might have interpreted the look differently, but Adam knew Roswaal was plotting something. How irritating! Adam's brows furrowed involuntarily. Roswaal, cunning from his 4 centuries of life, noticed Adam's displeasure at his affected manner and quickly dropped his frivolous demeanor. He shifted instead to briefing them on the Kingdom of Lugunika's current state, revealing that Amelia was a royal selection candidate under his support. "How mysterious indeed, you two came to the Kingdom of Lugunika, yet you don't even know the situation here." In his peculiar tone, he explained that during the royal selection period, any foreigners visiting the country would be viewed with suspicion. Their sudden appearance and involvement with Amelia, a royal candidate, was particularly questionable. His message was clear: "You're both suspicious figures, and trouble will follow." Adam hadn't considered claiming to be from Kararagi or the Wallachia Empire. Such deceptions would be futile before Roswaal, who possessed the Book of Wisdom, replica edition. If exposed, they would have no way to explain themselves or clear their names. Given these circumstances, it was better to be straightforward. "We both come from a small, nameless country in the West." Adam spoke up before the Japanese boy could misspeak, taking charge as spokesperson. Natsuki continued eating quietly, aware that Adam's diplomatic skills far surpassed his own awkward social abilities. For now, he simply followed Adam's lead. But this approach wouldn't help him develop. Though Natsuki might not have realized it, Adam refused to let anyone remain stagnant. "Is that so?" Roswaal's expression remained unchanged, as if he had expected this response. Amelia placed the recovered insignia on the table and explained, "This insignia represents the qualification proof for royal selection candidates, determining whether a candidate can become the king of the Kingdom of Lugunika. In other words, this is the Dragon Stone." "Ah, I see." Though Adam already knew this, he feigned consideration before asking, "So if Amelia had lost this insignia, she would have lost her candidacy qualification, right?" He was teasing her about Felt's recent theft of the insignia. "Please don't say lost in a way that could cause misunderstandings. It was just stolen by a child with sticky fingers." Amelia protested, flustered. Her attempt to reframe the situation was transparent, trying to minimize the fact that she had lost the insignia. Lost or stolen, what was the difference? Either way, she had failed to protect it. Adam remained silent, holding her gaze until she sheepishly acknowledged her mistake. Puck, watching his daughter being challenged, grew displeased. How dare you! He broke free from Beatrice's embrace, flew to Adam's face, and lightly tapped his right cheek with his fluffy cat paw. Feigning fury, he declared, "You insolent boy, how dare you bully my dear Leah? Do you wish to die?" Though his words were harsh, his gentle actions revealed he wasn't truly angry. Perhaps he recognized that making Amelia acknowledge her mistakes would benefit her growth. "I'm sorry." Adam apologized to both of them, but added, "I believe that when one makes a mistake, they shouldn't hide behind excuses. Bravely acknowledging and facing one's mistakes is a quality that a true monarch must possess." Right now, Amelia was an unworldly, innocent young girl thrust into a position beyond her current capabilities, her character and abilities not yet matching her elevated status. Though she understood that her words and actions needed to reflect her position as a royal selection candidate, and she strived to grow into the role, her tendency to avoid acknowledging mistakes was unbefitting of a leader. This would only discourage her faction's supporters. So, grow up quickly, Amelia. A true monarch. Amelia murmured softly, lost in thought. Perhaps she didn't truly want to become monarch at all. Roswaal then expressed his gratitude to both of them for helping recover the insignia, asking them to state their desires. "Well then. Anything is possible, feel free to make any request." He made it clear that they could ask for anything within his power to grant. Here it comes. This was what Adam had been waiting for. Magic protection, here I come. Let me work in the mansion. Just like in the original story, Natsuki made this startling declaration. Adam sighed while holding his head. This guy had completely forgotten Roswaal's earlier warnings about how getting involved with Amelia would bring trouble. He'd been cautioned about this, yet still. Well, let him be. That's fine. Roswaal smiled and agreed to his request, then asked, "Then what would Carter like?" "I want to have a duel with you, Roswaal." Adam's answer was even more shocking than Natsuki's. Chapter 7-9 Divine Protection of Magic. The atmosphere instantly became tense. Adam's words were even more shocking than Natsuki's job interview speech. Such a challenge at this time could easily be seen as provocation not just against Count Roswaal, but against the Kingdom of Lugunica itself during the royal selection period. After all, as a count, Roswaal's duty was to guard the kingdom's borders. He was the kingdom's first line of defense. Now that he had been challenged so boldly, it was hard not to suspect Adam had ulterior motives. "You." Ram's brows furrowed in anger, but Roswaal stopped her. "Don't misunderstand, I have no other intentions." Adam explained, noting the wariness in everyone's eyes, "I'm a wanderer who enjoys battling strong opponents to learn from experience." "Roswaal, you're strong, right? So I want to have a match with you." "Oh ho!" Roswaal let out a theatrical sigh. Speaking both as warning and statement of fact, he said, "Don't let my appearance fool you. I am the Kingdom of Lugunica's chief court magician, and have been granted the titles of Red, Green, and Yellow as the strongest magic user. Carter, are you certain you want to duel with me?" His gaze turned sharp, piercing toward Adam with dangerous coldness. "Of course. This is exactly why I came." Adam smiled confidently, paying no mind to the threat, "Not to brag, but my magic is quite formidable too." Meanwhile, he secretly touched his 5 high-quality monetites, instantly feeling more assured. Even if he couldn't win, he could at least hold out for a while, right? Roswaal agreed to his request, "Since Takebo has said so, that's fine." Though Amelia and Ram wanted to protest, they were stopped by Puck and Roswaal. And so the matter was settled. Boom. 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 That afternoon, violent tremors shook the entire border region. The ground quaked and the air itself shuddered, as if the sky were ablaze. This was no approaching storm, it was the clash of 2 powerful magic users. From the southwest of the magic beast forest came a series of explosions, their towering flames casting light into the darkest shadows. The lush forest suffered catastrophic destruction, its verdant greens vanishing from the Lord's map, replaced by stretches of black and yellow sand. Deep fissures carved through the earth like the gaping maws of ancient giants, striking dread into all who beheld them. When frightened villagers rushed to the Count's mansion seeking aid, they received an unexpected answer: their lord was merely having a friendly spar. Could a mere friendly match wreak such devastation? Though bewildered, the villagers' questions died on their lips at the mention of their lord. They quietly returned home to prepare for evacuation. By evening, the tremors finally subsided. Adam's 5 monetites lay completely drained, and even Roswaal's mana was spent. Adam had to admit male opponents proved more challenging than female ones, especially those of formidable strength. Their relentless, storm-like attacks had nearly overwhelmed him. As expected of the chief court magician, your strength is truly admirable. Takebo is also very impressive. I thought I could win easily, but even at full power we were nearly equal. 2 voices drifted from the border, one steady, one peculiar. Adam and Roswaal emerged from the magic beast forest, both covered in dirt, their clothes hanging in tatters. Despite his disheveled state, Roswaal maintained his noble bearing, though his clownish mannerisms remained as puzzling and off-putting as ever. Adam looked even worse. Not only were his clothes in shreds, but his expensive custom-made Hokage resistance cloak had been burned beyond salvation. What a shame! When they returned to the Count's mansion, Ram stood waiting. Lord Roswaal. Seeing him emerge from the forest blackened and tattered, she rushed forward with furrowed brows. Are you all right, Lord Roswaal? I'm fine, Ram. Don't worry yourself. Roswaal replied calmly. Have you prepared the hot water? Ram bowed and said, Yes, Lord Roswaal, the hot water is ready. Well then Takebo, shall we take a bath together? Sure. Roswaal extended the invitation to Adam, who internally fought back nausea. He deeply regretted entering a world with Oriental customs. Taking a bath together. Ugh. Still, refusing would only make things more awkward. The two followed Ram to the grand bath. Along the way, they encountered Amelia, Natsuki, and others who, seeing their filthy state, expressed concern. A few brief words sent them on their way. The Count's mansion naturally had a large bathhouse. The two washed themselves and then soaked in the pool. The warm water enveloped their bodies, instantly relieving half their fatigue. Adam leaned against the wall with his eyes closed, keeping as far away as possible from the other man, when he heard Roswaal call his name. Carter, about what I mentioned. Let me think about it some more. Before Roswaal could finish, Adam cut him off with a vague response. Think about it some more, HM. Noting the evasiveness in his voice, Roswaal raised an eyebrow but said nothing more. They chatted idly for a while longer before returning to their respective rooms, disturbing no one else in the mansion. Night fell in silence. Adam sat alone by his bed. Divine protection of magic, Roswaal L. Mathers, hey. One hand carefully examined his adventurer card while the other cast magic. Like a child with a new toy, he played with it endlessly, experiencing a satisfaction he couldn't get enough of. Without a doubt, the divine protection of magic provided an enormous boost to magical abilities. Low-level magic came effortlessly, and while high-level magic required more effort, he became proficient after brief practice. Unlike the divine protection of the Sword Saint, which merely awakened human potential in swordsmanship, the divine protection of magic was a concrete enhancement of everything in the magical domain. Divine protection of magic enables use of all 6 types of elemental magic, allowing domains including mana, power, speed, and others to reach their absolute peak. Strong. Very strong. Incredibly strong. Fortunately, Roswaal had held back at first, otherwise, Adam would have been instantly defeated. Where would he have found the chance to copy such a powerful divine protection then? However, such a powerful divine protection had one major flaw for him. Namely, he couldn't take it out of this world. Divine protections were gifts from the Od Lagna, proof of being beloved by the world. When Adam crossed to other worlds, no longer in the ReZero world, he naturally couldn't continue using the divine protection. What exactly were divine protections? In his eyes, they were plugins. Everyone with a divine protection had a special activation code. By connecting to the terminal called World and inputting the activation code, they could load and use various plugins. And Adam used Analyze and Copy to simulate this activation code. Once loaded, he could also use the divine protection activated by that code. As for why he couldn't copy Natsuki's Return by Death Authority, he wasn't sure. He hadn't analyzed or copied Natsuki's, nor did he want to experiment with it. But Adam suspected it might require more than just an activation code, perhaps something else. For example, soul consciousness or existence force might serve as personal proof for authentication, activating exclusive privileges, authorities. Such verification was beyond what his analyze and copy could currently achieve. But there was no need to overthink it. If he wanted to experiment, the authorities of other Sin archbishops would be much easier to copy than Natsuki's return by death. There was no rush. Never mind, time to sleep. Putting away his adventurer card and dispersing the magic from his hand, Adam gradually drifted off to sleep. Chapter 80 ReZero is actually a real-life child-raising game. The next day, Adam woke up early, but despite his morning training routine, he remained sitting on his bed, feeling irritated. The wake-up service from the charming maid Ram had initially left him satisfied. However, what followed soured his mood. Guest, oversleeping is not a good habit. You should get up now. Though Ram's words were respectful, her expression showed disdain, as if Adam were delaying her room cleaning out of spite. Hey, Ram! What is it, lazy guest? What's the meaning of this? He pointed at the neatly folded white uniform beside the bed. Why did you prepare this outfit for me? The formal white uniform before him was the mansion's finest, superior in style, material, and comfort. But this was clearly a knight's formal uniform. There was no mistaking it. It was unmistakably the formal uniform of the Knight Order from ReZero. My, could it be the guest's eyes have suddenly stopped working, that you can't even recognize a knight's uniform? Ram's sharp tongue lashed out as she continued with an annoyed tone, this was specially prepared for you on Lord Roswaal's orders, you should accept it with gratitude. Adam struggled to process her dramatic change in attitude. Her demeanor had grown notably hostile since yesterday, when he had challenged Roswaal to a duel at dinner. Both had returned that evening covered in wounds. While Ram was naturally sharp-tongued, her sarcasm had reached new heights. Adam knew it was because he had injured Roswaal petty, perhaps, though he wasn't entirely blameless. Still, he made one final attempt. I'm not a knight appointed by the kingdom. Wouldn't wearing a knight's uniform invite criticism? This could be used against Roswaal, wouldn't it create a vulnerability? As expected, Ram, loyal to Roswaal, tensed at hearing this but remained determined to follow her master's orders. Ram also doesn't think someone like Carter deserves to be a knight, but... After her characteristic sharp comment, she added dutifully, these are Lord Roswaal's arrangements, and Ram only needs to follow orders. It seemed persuasion was futile. Damn it! I've been outmaneuvered. Roswaal, you schemed against me. Only now did Adam finally grasp the depth of this 400-year-old monster's machinations. Yesterday, during their friendly sparring match, Roswaal had proposed having him fill the vacant position as Amelia's Knight Guardian, asking him to consider it carefully. While Roswaal claimed to admire his strength and wanted him to assist Amelia, Adam suspected he was merely following the youth version of the Book of Wisdom's instructions, simply wanting to keep him close. Natsuki was already Roswaal's servant, so there was no need to worry about him. But Adam was different. His request had been for one duel with Roswaal. After achieving that goal, would he stay or leave? Roswaal surely couldn't predict his next move. So he decided to use the position of Amelia's guardian as an excuse to keep Adam close. Though Adam had been refusing until now, making it clear he had no intention of becoming Amelia's knight. So during their duel, that crafty Roswaal had pulled a trick, deliberately burning all his clothes and preparing this brand new knight's uniform for him. What's wrong, guest? Would you like Ram to help you dress? Ram shook out the knight's uniform, such a spoiled child. Well, Ram will reluctantly help you get dressed. Come here. Hey, wait. What's with that tone used for coaxing children? Sigh. Adam couldn't help but sigh. That Roswaal fellow had just tossed this knight's uniform at him without any consideration. The implied meaning left only two choices, wear it or go naked. But once he put it on, it would inevitably lead to him becoming Amelia's knight. Really now? Raising one mentally immature son was tiring enough, and now they're pushing an innocent and naive daughter on him too? Is this making me play a real-life child-raising game? I'm only 20 years old. I don't even have a girlfriend yet. Adam was extremely conflicted. Guest, while nudity may be performance art, it's best not to do so in the Earl's mansion. It would lower Lord Roswaal's public image. Ram said. She noticed his conflicted expression and secretly smiled, though her words remained merciless. Besides, Lady Amelia will get a sty in her eye. Will get a sty in her eye. She repeated meaningfully. Though whether she meant Amelia or herself remained unclear. All right, I'll wear it, okay. Adam finally conceded. Roswaal, I'll definitely add 2 black eye circles to your clown makeup. While internally plotting his revenge against Roswaal, he prepared to get up and change. But just as he was about to do so, he realized Ram was still standing there. Ram, I'm going to change clothes. Oh, is that so? Ram replied coldly, showing no intention of leaving. Left with no choice, he repeated, I'm going to change clothes. What's wrong, would you like Ram to help you change? That's fine. She made as if to step forward. That's not what I meant. Adam said awkwardly, I'm shy when someone's watching. Oh, is that so? Please pretend Ram isn't here. Ram had clearly caught his hint but remained unmoved, merely closing her eyes slightly in pretense. I suspect you have ulterior motives, and I have evidence. Well, whatever. As a man, Adam wouldn't be too flustered having a woman watch, just a bit embarrassed. If she wants to watch, let her watch. It's not like he'll lose anything. He efficiently removed his sleepwear, preparing to change into the knight's uniform. But why? Why does this seemingly simple and plain knight's uniform have so many buttons? He fumbled with the numerous complex buttons, working up a sweat. Hee. Ram's laugh was almost inaudible, but Adam's superior hearing caught it. How embarrassing! Finally, she slowly stepped forward and gently helped him sort it out. It seemed her goal from the start had been to help him successfully put on the knight's uniform. Sorry Ram, I misunderstood you. A moment later, he was transformed. His heroic and handsome face, black short hair, and the perfectly tailored knight's uniform on his tall, straight figure with the black knicker and katana at his waist creating a perfect black and white coordination. In one word, handsome. However, the kingdom's emblem that was originally on the left shoulder had been removed, replaced with the characters, Adam, embroidered in golden thread. This made him very pleased. He decided, just for this design, he'd go a bit easier on Roswaal in their next fight. Afterwards, the two left the bedroom together.
Thanks for listening.